Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this town. Thank you for everyone getting here safely, and hopefully we can leave here safely as well. Look over us, guide us, direct us, and doing business for your town. In your heavenly name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Bob McGregor.
Present.
Brian Dawson.
Here.
Keith Dennis.
Here.
Dale Quigley.
Here.
Chad Fisher.
Here.
Call to order time is 6:01.
Number 5, consent agenda items. All matters listed under consent are considered by the town of Union City Board of Trustees to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. Any board trustee member may, however, remove an item from the consent agenda by request. Do I have a motion for A, B, C, and D?
Make a motion we approve agenda item 5A through D.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Alright, number 6, correspondence A and B. The following correspondence is provided to the Board of Trustees for review and information. Regular monthly bills presented by Union City Treasurer Michelle Burns. Dispatch is $21.90. Fire Department is $47.64.30. General Fund is $140,952.51. Municipal is $26,427.17. Municipal deposit funds are $250. Police Department of $12,490.39. Street and Alley Fund is $85.42. Traffic Bond Refund of $4,810.22. No correspondence. Number 7, financial reports. The regular monthly financial reports for all funds are provided to the Board of Trustees for the review and information by Union City Treasurer Michelle Burns. At close of business January 31st, 2024, bank balance is as follows. Ford Fest has $8,343.20. Asset forfeiture is $22,217.14. Capital improvement for the Bank First is $313,952.58. Capital improvement for First National is $313,927.20. General Fund is $264,698.28. Nothing in the REAP grant. Street and Alley at $12,335.19. Traffic bond refunds $62.06.35. Municipal Authority is $577,569.69. Municipal deposit funds of $52,225.83. Dispatch is $48,899.12. Fire Department is $608,369.51. Police Department is $205,588.81. Number 8, Department of Union City Code Enforcement.
Here's my report. Any questions on it? There's no questions on my report. I do have an update from OU. She sent me an email. She said, I'm excited to share a progress update on the Union City Comprehensive Plan. Following the community workshop, we have incorporated valuable feedback into our planning process. Our team is on track to share this framework. We're working on delivering a plan that reflects the community's aspirations. And so also we are excited to share that we're in discussions with OG&E Corporate, and they're really excited to explore how they can support our collaboration and bring in insights on how to approach the economic development analysis. And she'll be in touch with me soon. I'm super excited to see what they've put together. As soon as I get that, I will go ahead and forward it to each one of you. We have plenty of time go over it, and hopefully we'll be able to discuss a little bit more in depth. I'm excited, we're getting ready. I've not heard anything back from anyone in regards to the Ranch Oak Estate project. Have any of y'all heard anything
From the what?
on the Ranch Oak Estate? They were waiting on Tom, my understanding, to come up with, figure out how that would work.
Yeah, I've not heard anything.
They were waiting on you, is what he asked me on Friday.
Okay, well,
Is-
then I'll get in touch with them tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, he said, we haven't heard anything back, anyone know if I'd heard anything? I said, no, I haven't
Okay.
talked to you. So, they wanted to see if it was something that's even feasible. And I didn't have an answer for him, so.
It's all up to 36, the banner.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Got some real nice roads.
So are they they're the ones that are wanting the county to take them over, right?
Yeah. It would become part of their property taxes
Yeah.
going forward.
All right. 8A, interlocal agreement, consideration possible action, denial amendment, revision, or acceptance of the interlocal agreement between the Town of Union City, Canadian County District 2, and Rancho Estate Homeowners. There it is. There it be. So have they provided any of the information you need yet? No? Okay. I'll follow up with them tomorrow. 8B, subdivision proposal. Consideration and possible approval, denial, amendment, revision, with acceptance of adjourning the proposed subdivision to be located at State Highway 152 and Banner Road on the northwest corner.
You guys have what they sent, regards to that, and the gentlemen are here to visit with you tonight, a little bit more about that.
Okay?
Jake Floyd, Hiawassee 80, Tracy Williams. We were just wanting to propose our subdivision, we're wanting to do gravel road with stick-built homes.
And I'll share a little bit more of that. I know Jake has led the project. We've got two home building companies. One is called Blue Ribbon Construction, and I've got some pictures if you were interested in seeing. One is called Craft Homes. These two entities we build around the metro of Oklahoma City. We build a really nice, would you mind if I showed you the product?
No, we'd love to see it.
Yeah. So here is a picture that I took off the Blue Ribbon website. This is a subdivision in Blanchard, Oklahoma, and basically it's gravel roads. We built that specific house is one that's pending for $330,000 with a 30 by 40 shop. It's about just shy of 1,800 square feet. Blue Ribbon closed just under 100 houses last year. I would say the majority of those homes.
What was the percentage again, I'm sorry? How many did they close?
Just under 100.
Okay.
Craft Homes, similar. I have a 50% partner in Blue Ribbon Construction. I am the sole owner of Craft Homes. And basically we found an incredible niche providing affordable housing to people. For us specifically, when we go in, we've got communities where we build, city, sewer, the infrastructure, water, pavement, gutter, the works, Craft and Toll has done many projects for us, a large engineering firm, also Johnson Associates. So we're capable of doing that type of product and that type of development. What we found is it really just drives up the cost and makes things unaffordable. And so our niche is really rural areas, providing a quality home, and I'll show you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I know where it's
Yeah,
at.
I was looking at that exact neighborhood.
So our niche is, that one is Blanchard out by the golf course.
Yeah, I've had some
Yeah.
pictures in there.
What's the name
They're
of
not
that
homes,
Southern Trace is that one?
they're not
Southern
homes.
what?
Thank you. Southern Trace is the name of that one.
Well, it's not, they're putting, them are all like just shy of 1 acre as
Yes.
well, right?
Uh-huh. And then I'll show another picture. This is,
Basic gravel
this
road.
is Craft
Yeah,
Homes,
yeah. Bunch of
product.
A few of those being built.
Yeah.
program. So we set up a HOA where, matter of fact, we do have a lot of, product and land in Logan County. And the county commissioners, of course, require us on the plats to maintain the roads. They want it to be crystal clear, that, the county will never take it over. And so, we are very.
Can I show a few?
Absolutely. We're very disciplined,
You've seen those?
in our experience to set up the communities, to turn them over with, money in the bank, grade the roads one last time.
They're all about 1 acre lots,
And
and like
if
you
you-
said, gravel
there's a couple-
roads to and
And
from.
there's a couple pictures, if you scroll through, you'll see one community where Craft Homes built, where there's probably 20, 30 homes, but I would say on gravel roads last year, we built in excess of 100 homes. We built hundreds and hundreds of homes in communities. I can think of one called Timberland Hills in Guthrie, where we built 200 homes. One year we were selling 40 to 50 a year because it was, provided the niche. So,
Cause I've looked at that exact neighborhood already, so I'm a little bit familiar with it, but, we didn't dig in enough to find out whether or not, like, is there an HOA on those?
of course, yes, sir.
And then you're gonna have, the HOAs will be the ones responsible for the roads?
Yes, sir.
That's how that will handle, what are the HOA prices per,
Jake, do you have any of that information?
On the ones that I've done, it's usually about 200 a lot.
per year?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, in
And
the
how-
past, one of the things that we've run into is a lot of the HOAs, you know, they start out at a certain price, and 10, 15 years down the road, well, it costs a lot more than that to maintain that road,
Yes, sir.
and they just let it go to trash, you know?
The road.
The road, yeah. And so my question would be is there a way to implement where your HOA dues would increase with the cost of living?
It's a great question. Never been, you know, as I reflect on the communities that we've built going back to 1999, I can think of one at Simmons Road and Midwest Boulevard that was a mobile home community. It is incredible. I mean, and it's mobile homes. That was the very first project that I did with manufactured housing in 1990 in Simmons and Midwest and Logan County. There are some in our rural, we're not building houses where that is an issue. The roads are maintained. I can't truly think of a subdivision where we've built, you know, 100+ houses where there's an issue. And I mean, some of them have been around for a decade. So us personally, I'm not saying, I understand, we've got rural things where we'll sell out acreage tracts and we'll set up an HOA, not where we're building houses, but where we just sell tracts, we sell parcels, and unfortunately, I can't say the same in that setting. But when we've gone in and built the houses, in these communities, what we've found ironically is there is so much pride of ownership. You know, we've been blessed, some of our Logan County, developments, you know, there's rural water, wells, and so they can run the water and make the lawn just as green as they want, but, I mean, there's a lot of pride of ownership in those communities where the roads just aren't an issue. I mean, in our experience.
And give me the number, like, of what the planned amount of houses was gonna be?
Do you have the plat, Jake, or?
Will it change from this one over here?
143 and that's the original.
Yeah, it's the
The same, with 143 was the number, I couldn't remember, I knew it was 140 something.
And that was, I guess, our request, and I'll shut up unless you guys have some more pointed questions for me, is, you know, our desire was to do, manufactured housing. We understand and heard that is not your desire, and so I guess our final attempt to compromise, if that's even possible, is, we're interested in building the community. I think it could be a blessing. I think if you researched our two, home building companies, Craft Homes and Blue Ribbon, if you wanted to get in the truck and drive some of our communities, even some of our older ones, we'd be happy to do that. Unfortunately for us, it will not be within the budget. We will go a different direction if it's, you know, if it's your rules and we'll abide by your rules, but if you're going to require, the concrete or the asphalt roads, it won't work for our program. And so we're here humbly asking, you know, for the opportunity to potentially, a variance, and I think we'll bring something that will bless the community if there's interest.
These houses will be sold and not rented?
That's correct.
Okay.
None of them will be set up as rental units.
I can't control what somebody buys.
But
No, of course not, but
that's
it's
not
not really the
That's
focus
not
to
your
build them
desire.
all and then one person owns all the lots, those will be sold. And all of them will have shops? Or
No,
just?
So Blue Ribbon, great question. Blue Ribbon's program, I would say 80 to 90%, and that's the company I have a 50% partner. 80% to 90% of the homes that they build, the shop is kind of like part of the package. just
Yeah.
fine. Craft homes, not so much, so honestly, we just need to see what the market demands. We've paid more for this land, land prices are just crazy anymore. We've paid more for this land than other areas. Our Southern Trace product, I think we're in at 5,000 an acre, where we're in at like 10,000 a here. And that's one of the things that's driving us as a developer and as a builder, you know, it's just don't have the means to take it to the nth degree. But back to your question, Blue Ribbon, I don't know if it will be a hybrid of both companies or just one. If it was solely Blue Ribbon, I promise you there will be shops because that's their niche, you know.
Will they all be brick, or will there be any that are siding?
There would be some that are siding, you know, but we have, I'm trying to think, like, even here's the craft home.
Yeah, which are a lot of these in Blanchard too, I think. So they're half brick, half siding, similar to what they built over there on Maple Street.
Yeah.
What about chip versus just gravel? I mean,
No,
it's cheaper than the blacktop and the concrete, but it's gonna hold up better.
I think it's
Like a chip
possible.
seal.
We've got some communities where we're, you know, where we're looking at that. I think it's possible. I'm not familiar with the numbers.
Yeah.
And anymore, I'm not even familiar with the,
Even
25 tons of gravel.
the reclaimed asphalt, that's what Banner Road is right now.
These are
Yeah.
1 acre
They
lots,
got
some of them are
cheaper
5
price.
acres up to.
What's that going north on Gregory? From 59 to Gregory, when they redid that?
Chip seal.
Yeah, see, that thing's holding up pretty dang good, isn't it? It doesn't look like they spent a lot of money on it,
Yeah.
they graded it, packed it.
Gregory Estates did not hold up at all. It's one in length in Gregory. Trucks.
That was the first one that came in a couple of years ago that the county couldn't do, and then they ended
Yeah,
up
those
doing
big
it.
trucks.
Yeah.
That's the thing, if starting to addition and you trust all that, with all the big trucks coming in, all the concrete trucks, they destroy it, so.
By the time they're finished building the back to the front, then they're already tore up.
Tore up pieces.
Our gravel road communities, and again, I would love the opportunity if there's any, you know, willingness to consider, love the opportunity to, I can bring a 9-passenger van or rent a 15 and drive to some communities where we've built, there's one, again, 1999 is when we started building mobile homes, and it is an incredible community, and the roads are incredible, and it was 1999.
If the HOA will keep up with it, you're fine, but once you get out of there, it's up to the HOA, right?
But that's correct, but as long as it's set up right, and, you know, my bias in Oklahoma and Logan County, they're kind of like, as long as you understand, we are not maintaining these roads, we're not, it's on the plat, the filed plat, it's like, the county will not maintain the road.
Yeah,
Here's
well, we're
where
not
we
gonna
are,
have no money on it
Yeah,
later.
so at that point, I mean, I don't know what the worry is, but I'd love to show you the proof in the pudding. If you go
700
around-
more housing additions just like that one.
That's the worry.
Yeah.
What is, elaborate a little bit on,
What, versus
With gravel
no
roads.
housing subdivisions?
With gravel roads.
You make the rules, I mean, it's your prerogative, so.
describe to us a little bit on what your plans are. Will the plans stay the same as they were previously as far as how you handle sewage?
They would be all, aerobic septics.
Aerobic septics, okay, the sprinklers.
Yes, sir.
Have y'all done any of those on 3/4 or like 1 acre lots, 3/4 lots?
Last year, we closed 300 houses, and
Yeah,
of the 300 houses, I would say 250 had aerobic septic
yeah,
systems.
on an acre or less land?
You can go to half acre with rural water, so,
A half acre.
yeah.
DEQ sets them
Yes, sir.
rules up.
Yeah,
No,
no,
yeah.
that's why I was curious, yeah.
DEQ, specs are, if you have, private water, whether it's city water or rural water, you can go down to half an acre. With a private well, the minimum lot size is 3/4 of an acre with a private well.
Awesome.
And the requirements in DEQ, you know, is any installer is required to maintain the aerobics for 2 years, that's state law. And then most of them.
So, I'm sorry, say that part again, who's
The installer of the
Okay.
aerobics, the
covers
state
it
law.
for the first 24 months,
Yes,
okay.
that's state law, and then, most of them, of course, are turning into a profit center on the service side, and they're looking for long-term contracts to maintain.
this addition was full, would runoff still be an issue on that main septic system?
Yes,
So
sir.
I think we had somebody in here a month or two ago was concerned about the runoff.
Yeah.
I think, I'm not an expert on the aerobics, but like I said, last year we probably installed 250, and, many of them are half-acre subdivisions, and those are the DEQ specs. So as long as it's installed by a professional installer to the DEQ specs, it's not an issue on a half-acre with city water or rural water. Again, that goes to 3/4 of an acre on a private well.
Now, what would your home prices look like if this was to happen?
You know, this house that I showed you that's pending of Blue Ribbons, is, was it 330 maybe?
330 is what you were.
Yeah, 330,000. That's the one with the shop. We've got the others that are going to be probably mid to high twos, craft without a shop. I'm gonna guess that the low side, we're gonna be, I'd love to hit 220, 225, which, man, it still sounds it is a lot of money, but, anymore, it's like, it's crazy, the $250,000, it doesn't get you much, you know?
Yeah.
But, I would say the sweet spot, we're gonna be 250 to 350. Which I think is what the market needs. And
Okay. Well, me personally, you know, if, at the bare minimum, I mean, I really like the idea of chip seal. It doesn't cost a whole lot more than gravel, 'cause it's mostly gravel, you know? I wish we had, somebody had more information on the values of that.
Is there ever programs where the county works with developments and you pay county for that kind of work, or do you always have to go with private?
Private.
It is private, yeah.
it's always been private.
But the county does chip seal, but the private, like, it was, Swartz that did Banner.
Unless you worked out something like they're trying to do, you're on rank up.
Yeah, and that's why that intrigued us a lot when that came up, and then we're gonna be questions that we have.
Somebody, you know, asked me a week ago, and I don't have any experience, was like, can you do a TIF type project with the city, you know, work with, you guys to get the streets that you desire? I mean, we're open to, us, it's just about do the numbers work, and if we do paved streets, or what we pay for the land, our problem, not yours, but what we pay for the land, if we do paved street and asphalt, and we've done dozens and dozens of communities both ways, it will not work for us.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just kinda, that's where we're at, we're at peace, if it's not meant to be, we wanna build it, but, we don't make the decisions.
Would it work if you lowered your number of houses?
Absolutely not, your cost per acre goes up.
You build better houses?
No.
Bigger houses.
Yeah, there's no market. I mean, it's like, one of the first things I learned in home building, build for the classes and join the masses. Build for the masses, and you might have a chance to join the classes, but even that, guess what? Home building, the margins are not what people think. I literally had a bank, lunch last week with somebody, that, I'll tell you the Bank 7, Jason Estes, he's the chief credit officer. And he said, somebody recently brought me the keys, you know, a smaller builder. This is not an easy industry, and things are very, very challenging right now with the interest rates. Hopefully they will go down, but you start getting to $400,000+ and you tack on a 7% interest rate, and you just miss Oklahoma, man.
Yeah.
You miss the masses.
So could you possibly put together some numbers and see what it would look like with the chip seal versus gravel?
Yeah, we can, yeah. And what I would ask is, you know, is there, I wouldn't encourage you to, is there any participation possible? You know, do you have the ability to help with that? And again, I think if I could take you into some of our that are complete, that are done, like, it's finished, that have been there for years. If I could take you into some of our communities that are gravel roads, like, I just don't understand,
Well, and again, there's a little gun shop up here because of some current issues we're having in some other neighborhoods.
Yes, sir.
Is where it has become a real issue. At the same time though, these houses, I feel like will be in a price line where people will care more.
Yes.
And with them being privately owned, it'll be handled differently, and I do, you know, lean your way more on the longevity of it, cause if I'm buying a house in that neighborhood, you know, at $330,000, I'm not gonna drive through potholes every single day.
Correct.
I mean, you know, I'm just not gonna do it, you know, even if it takes me getting my own tractor out there to fix it, you know? But that's the reason, and then we have a deal that popped up a couple months ago, where one of the neighborhoods is wanting to, you know, kind of relinquish basically those roads to the county, and we're trying to figure out the legalities and if we can do that, and if we can, it might be a solution for us in a few of them areas where we've had issues, so that's why we're asking those questions.
Yeah.
Sure,
The current major issues that we're
and that's
having.
why Logan County, you know, they're adamant that, hey, we're not maintaining roads, make sure your customers
Mhm.
know that.
Yeah, of course,
That's
yeah.
not our business.
Yeah, and our commissioner will tell you the same thing,
That they're
but,
private roads.
Yeah.
I think if you set it up right and with a price point, truly, like, I would love the opportunity with any of the decision makers to get in the van and drive, see finished neighborhoods. There's no more construction, they've been done for years, and drive the roads. Let's go after a
Yeah.
rank, because, it speaks for itself, you know, can there be an issue? Of course.
Yeah.
But, in our experience, I can't think of issue. I mean, I really can't, and what's crazy is I think there's more satisfied homeowners in the gravel communities than the paved road communities. I think there's more pride of ownership, it's more truly. I think there's more status, they knew what they were getting when they got there, right? They pulled in the driving lot when it was gravel, there is more satisfied homeowners. And a lot of the people that are buying our product, this, many times it's the first home, sometimes step up, but they're just thankful. They're just grateful, to have a home, you know, and not be paying rent.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I do, I think there's opportunities there, and, you know, before the city could ever say, yeah, we'll help or anything, you know, we gotta know what it looks like, you know? If you could get those numbers and, make sure that he has my number before he leaves, just give me a call, whatever, you know, and I would like to I'd like to take you up on taking a trip, going look at some of your gravel roads too.
That'd be a blessing, I'd love for you to.
Swing by Canadian Estates while you're at it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be out on that.
You
All
can
right,
list them
so
maybe
let's
as one of the pieces.
Can we just,
I would like Alan Clark and Donna Clark.
Well, we're longtime farmers, and we're seeing the farms disappearing. And people like this come out and they pay way too much money, like you said, and kept it from the farmers getting it. Or even the developer that crossed the fence right next to this property. And now they don't wanna build nice homes because they spent way too much money buying it.
Can you show her the pictures of the homes?
I showed them to her.
Oh,
Let them see them, yeah.
Okay.
They're a lot better than the trailer houses that we told were going up there.
Mhm.
But I wanna tell you some statistics here.
Okay.
You're talking 140 houses with 4 people, maybe a house, more or less. You're talking about 560 people living on a pasture and a cropland. There's nothing out there. There's no schools out there. There's no grocery stores. There's no filling stations. There's no clothing stores. There's nothing there for those people, so they're gonna have to be on 152 or Banner Road, run up and down the road to get everything they need. And that means if you take 6 trips a day, which him and her are going to work, that's 4 trips, then they gotta go back to a school activity, church, oh, they forgot something in the grocery store, they have to go to the dentist, the doctor. You're gonna have 840 trips a day instead of 20. The 20 comes from the farmer that went in the south of that property, fed his cows, maybe took a tractor over there to work his field. And the farmers that owns it on the other side. So 20 trips a day versus 840 trips a day. You have to consider what they're using on your roads, that they don't have anything to do with those roads. They're gonna have those roads running up and down with 850 times a day, 840 trips, and that's a minimum. They're gonna they just put $1 million on Banner Road, and what is it? It's still 2 narrow strips with no shoulder. And where are these people gonna come out at? And 152, they put a bunch of time, years of planning. And there's one gate on the south side of that property. Are all 560 people gonna go through that gate onto 152? They don't care, because they don't live here. We're gonna have to pay for this for decades. So you need to think as a council what you're doing when you say, sure, come on out here. Put your 143 houses out here. Because I think your little gravel road is very minimal. Very minimal compared to what's gonna go on down there. We've already had 2 deaths on 152, one just recently. Now you put 840 more trips up and down that road a day, 840 more trips a day. Does that mean we're gonna have less accidents and less deaths, or more? Please think this over very carefully, because you're selling off our community. Thank you.
Alan? You have anything to say? No. Okay. Both your names were on there, I just wanna make sure.
I made him put his name down there.
Oh, okay. She brought up a really good point. I mean, what does it look like for entrances and exits and stuff like that?
Currently,
Yeah.
there's 2 that come out to, Highway 152.
Which is pretty standard for most C-boys.
Is that where are they located on the map?
Here
And here.
and here. It'll be here and here,
So that's gonna be the hill they're cutting out, isn't it?
yeah. Yeah, should be, yeah.
It'll straighten out some of
Yeah.
that.
And I think with the wide ones,
Shelters,
too,
some
will be
turning
fine.
lanes there.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
That pertains to this, just with the school system also, if there's 143 houses, where do all those students go? Because our classrooms are not big enough right now to hold the kids we do have.
Yeah.
So I'm in, he's married to one of the board members, and I'm in constant communication with 2 of the others, 2 of the board members, and coaching staff, principals, that kind of stuff. I don't know if you wanna elaborate any, Ryan, but, from your standpoint, but, they're working currently on a bond issue for, I believe, what they're hoping for, they can't do it during election year, so they're hoping for next year, because they will have to build a new school. But that's an issue now, so, and if you also don't know, Governor Stitt signed into law that you can basically transfer your kids to any place you want to, any high school you want to that has room. And so, there's a handful of schools per county that can't accept kids, but it's the ones like Tuttle, Blanchard, places where the growth rates are so extreme that they can't handle, the influx of transfers. But schools like Minco, one of mine's gonna be transferred to Minco this year, and they're now eligible to play sports immediately as soon as they transfer. So we're already seeing a large influx of kids coming out of Mustang and Yukon to come and go to school here and play sports here already.
Right.
Almost half of my son's current class, as a freshman, is made up of transfers. And so as these kids move in, they become number one priority, and it lowers the transfer rates as well. But at the end of the day, the school has to build. I mean, that's just a fact.
Yeah, and, you know, one of the things that I think of whenever I think of these different builders is, you know, we have a very large percentage of our student population that are not from here.
Right.
They all live in Yukon, Mustang. Matter of fact, I heard that we have one that drives from North Oklahoma City. And, you know, the way I think of it is I think of all these students that are coming here and that are going to school here. You know, there's a couple of reasons they're doing it. You know, sports is a big part of it, you know.
Opportunity.
You can have a kid that has a lot of talent, and they're a little bitty fish in a giant ocean when they're in Mustang or Yukon. But they can come here and they're a big fish in a little pond.
But you also have a lot of kids here, I mean, it's a surprising number, that are transferring out of Union City, and we can't keep our kids here because Union City does not offer the extracurricular activities that the other larger schools around us do.
Right.
I mean, I got a son that stands a very good chance to go play at a high level in 2 different sporting categories, and those are not offered here. So I'm currently, as a Union City resident, you don't know what it would feel like to take this hat and put it on my head and walk him onto a field in this town, and how much pride he would have doing that, but he can't because we don't offer it. And then I have to spend literally almost $1,000 a month, and I'm one of many parents spending that kind of money per month to have our kids go compete in, you know, in private lessons and different places that this school doesn't offer, you know. And so, an example of that is they're trying to start track this year here at Union City Schools, and there's, you know, a dozen kids that are extremely interested in that. You know, I think you would have double or triple that number if the program was already done. This first year is gonna be very difficult for the dozen or so kids that are gonna try to compete in that. I'm already having to take and drive my kid 5 nights a week, you know, more than 8 miles per trip one way, for him to begin training on 400-meter track, because we don't have a 400-meter track.
Even on the other hand, my daughter is the smartest kid in her class,
Yeah.
and they don't offer a gifted program
No,
because.
so I was at the school
we're not
4 days,
big enough
I was
for
at
it.
the school 4 days ago, my daughter has her lowest grade a 96, she has a 96 to 105.
Yeah.
She did the tests for that stuff, and I know your daughter's one of them, there's another young man in that class named Ricky,
Yeah.
that 3 of those are scoring off the charts on things,
Yeah.
and they don't have the opportunity
They
to
don't.
do anything.
Right.
And so, that was a conversation at my dinner table, you know, that I have parent-teacher conferences, what do we do?
That's
And
okay.
so, if we aren't growing, we're dying, but it's tough, because I moved to this community 15 years ago to get away from my hometown of Tuttle that was growing out of control, because I wanted the small atmosphere for my kids where I could know the teachers on a first name basis, and, you know, it's tough, like, where do we draw that line? But at the end of the day, as long as gentlemen like that are willing to write checks for that amount of money for a piece of land, we unfortunately, the farmers or the next generation that may not want to farm are always gonna sell to the land developers, and the land developers are always gonna do what's in the best interest for, you know, growth, and it's a cycle, unfortunately. And in my opinion, if you wanna see what this town will look like in 25 years, take a look at Tuttle.
I mean,
Because,
as
I mean,
part of
that's
the
just,
younger generation that lives in this town, because it is a lot of older people, for the growth, as long as every part of it is growing with us, because
right.
Yeah.
I don't wanna overfill
And
our.
it's never
And
easy.
the school has a couple of different things for bond projects,
Mhm.
you know,
So
one's a
the-
remodel, one's an actual build, but.
One of
Yeah.
the things you have to put into perspective is each one of those homes provides money for that school, you know? In all honesty, in the way that I think, you know, I mentioned all the students that are transfers. I would honestly say, I think that a pretty good percentage of those homes will be filled with people that don't wanna drive anymore, you know? They're like, you know, I've been driving from Mustang to Union City, or from Yukon to Union City,
Right, so they transfer.
twice a day, every day, you know?
I don't know.
And I think that they're buyers on those homes, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I believe in the growth, but I believe that we have to be very careful in how we're growing.
And that's the very tough part, because like the balances I just handed them, so if anybody wants to pass that around, you're welcome to. That's our town's current amount of dollars sitting in all of our bank accounts. When, I know Bob was ahead of me by 6 months or so, I've been on this board, it's my 4th year of serving on this board, and especially during COVID. I mean, and I've heard the horror stories of the previous boards of not having the income. Right now, overall, for the current size of our community, we're pretty blessed right now. Like, we have some resources set aside, and money's been managed, in my opinion, pretty well for the most part, and we're in a better financial position than we were. This town has lacked business in a very tough way.
Yeah.
So how do you get more business to come in to add to that income to cover the ever-growing expenses of police departments, fire departments, and the stuff that's coming? You have to have income to do that. Unfortunately, whether anybody wants it or not, the growth is coming. Now, we as a community have to try to decide, do we want to get in front of that growth and try to be organized and professional and proactive in how we grow to keep things as nice and clean as we can? Or do we want to just fight it the whole way, turn guys like this completely down every time they come to town because we don't like certain things about how they're wanting to develop it? And then it happens anyway, but it ends up like the trailer park that's over there off of, what's that road over there we always talk about? It's like the gun range over there. I mean, that's what we don't want within our community, you know? We want, you know, what's best for our community at the end of the day. But I don't know how to stop the growth. If we put huge signs on all four sides of the town, I don't know how we stop it. I mean, if guys are willing to pay.
You know, the only way you stop is to buy the land.
Yeah, and I mean, I can say right now, I'm a first generation landowner, and that's a crazy thing for some people to think about. I didn't come from a family where land was, you know, already there, and I've had to earn every single thing I've gotten, you know, and I would love to go buy a 500-acre piece of land. Trust me, I got a brother-in-law who's the same way, first generation, and he's 52, and he's fixing to buy 160 acres. 160 acres now is millions of dollars. It's $1.8 million for him. I just looked at a brand new listing in Tuttle for 100 acres, and they got it listed for $300 million. Just went on there yesterday. I watch these things every day because I would love to buy my next 100 acres. You know, it's not possible. I mean, off of a single income house, good luck to you. I mean, and that's what's tough. So the growth's coming. Now, our question as a board is, how do we stay in front of it and be professional and get the most we can as far as, you know, the nicer homes, you know, but yet places people can afford, and that sort of thing. It's a tough question, you know, and it's one for each of us to decide. But, you know, the growth ain't gonna be easy, but it's coming. Whether you like it or not, it's coming. Yep.
That's the residential growth, the businesses won't.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I meant to say that, but yeah.
We're big.
Yeah, we need the residential to create the growth, and back to what you said, they are kind of on, I've been living in Union City now for 15 years, him his whole life. How long have we had to drive all the way to, you know, Mustang and Yukon and those places just to get a gallon of milk, you know? And we can't get the grocery store here until there's rumors of neighborhoods and certain things coming in, you know? But we do want, you know, the growth to be in such a way where we don't have toilet water running off onto other people's land, and we don't want, you know, housing that's so cheap and rent houses so cheap that it causes additional police calls and additional fire calls and ambulance calls, or, you know, those types of things. But the growth's coming. That's what's really tough. And we gotta stay in front of it, you know.
I'd be the first to admit that if the city had the opportunity to, have 140 houses in town, it's gonna be another blessing, in my opinion, for the city. There's an argument that at Banner Road and 152, and again, I'm sharing this isn't me selling, this is me selling again. There's an argument at 152 and Banner to what some of the things that you shared, that do they go to I-40 and Garth Brooks and shop? Mm-hmm. But at some point in time, I've heard very favorable things about the school system, and the majority of the tax dollars that would be created on this side of the project goes to the schools.
The schools, for sure.
The ad valorem tax goes to the schools.
It'll be $800 a house.
In my sales pitch, with the disclaimer, yes, they could go to Mustang and shop. They could go. At the same time, look, you've got to have households to drive the commercial, which is where the tax dollars are. And if you get the right family mix within these households that buy into this small town and community, guess what? Now the people are going to have the desire to put the capital into small businesses, you know, that will bless the town and generate tax dollars. It's this catch-22 of needing households, and it would be better if it was smack dab in the middle of town. The irony is, 140, first of all, if it was 20 a year, we're talking 7 years. You know, I don't think we're talking about 140, you know, in 2025.
Yeah, of course, and
As a developer and builder, I wish it was.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
You know, I would say 15 to 25 a year.
Per year,
would be my-
yeah. And that was a huge discussion on the last housing development project with the school was, how fast are these gonna, the first question out of their mouths was, how fast are these houses gonna be built? And when you realize that it is only 20 per year-ish, it's not as overwhelming, because that growth is gonna happen over time, and everyone can adjust accordingly. But if I'm a leadership in that school, I'm telling myself right now, it's coming. How do I better prepare myself for it? Because whether I like it or not, whether it's transfers, or whether it's, you know, people moving into the community, it's coming.
But go to the bank, there will be a $350,000
Increase in-
out-of-state buyer
Yeah.
with no kids
Yeah.
that are paying ad valorem tax to
Yeah.
fund the school system.
Of course.
You know, and, you know, if the town is right, they're gonna drive in to experience that. I mean, it will happen. I mean, we're seeing, you know, out-of-state buyers are, it feels like it's one and two, definitely 1 and 3, you know, coming in. So it's not every household will have 3.5 kids inundating the, you know, the school.
I mean, it's gonna grow fast, 'cause once your addition starts, somebody else is gonna start one. Sure, they're gonna see what you're doing, so we're, like you said, we have to get ready for the change, it's coming.
What's this property on the corner here listed at?
$2 million,
2 million, for how many acres?
134,
Yeah.
something like that.
There's no middle-class family that's gonna move to this area that has that kind of money.
It's coming up for auction today.
Yeah.
Y'all realize that, there's gonna be a lot of growth, and it's gonna be painful. But this town is not ready for it all. Now, I'm gonna stop back here to Stacy, and I'm gonna tell you, you pay too much. So now you gotta put 140 on there, or whatever. And really, is that doing a service to the people that's gonna move there? I mean, you're giving them 3/4 an acre or something like that, and you're putting them in areas, are you gonna put them under the high line you're putting through there?
Of course.
And risking their health?
No, they're not allowed to, that's an easement, they're not allowed to,
Okay.
they'll be offset.
So they have a certain offset for that
Yes,
already?
sir, yes.
Okay,
And then there's the floodplain on the,
Regulations.
yeah, the east side of the floodplain,
yeah.
I know that.
Yeah, so I own a piece of property in eastern Oklahoma that has an electrical clearing running across the center of it. I can't even put a tree stand on it. If I do, and I leave it there, when they come through, they tear it down. They've done 3 of them that way, and I just put up a 4th one. So, like, you can't, you're not allowed to. Like, that easement, no matter what you do, they will tear it down. Like,
Okay.
So-
And how are you, but I just think that's just too many houses. And if you had to pay that much, maybe they wouldn't have to pay so much to have their house there. So you kinda created your own little issue there.
Well, I'm very comfortable in our purchase, and I'm very comfortable in not building one house. And so, if that's the decision the town wants, I'm very comfortable, I will sell the land, and we'll move on.
Okay,
So,
well, I just,
I'm trying to
We-
provide.
we-
looking at the people, and who are you marketing to?
Who are we
Have you got any?
So I know 3 families right now who have kids that are already attending this school that are looking for a house exactly what he has on that very first page.
And did you say
And-
there's an auction that's going on?
For this corner lot right here,
So why not put those 103 right there?
because we live in a world, in a country that's called capitalism. And any man that wants to buy 160 acres and pay $5 million for it and build houses, you know, we as a board can stop the rezoning, but outside of that, there's not a lot we can do. I mean, at the end of the day.
But
I mean,
if he traded and he says, I'll build it there, would that be better for you all than?
Yeah, what was the listing again?
It's listed at 2 million, but it goes up for auction in April.
Yeah, and that
But
2 million.
they're split up in
Yeah.
20s and 5s and 10s.
Yeah.
And what we found is, you're concerned about potentially the density. What we found is the people, that can't afford 10, 20, much less 100, 150 plus acres, are thrilled to have some space. When you get in these, smaller communities, and we've built a lot from Shawnee to Washington schools, down Dibble, Guthrie, Langston schools, we built a lot that people cherish and covet. That 3/4 acre lot is there.
I'll be,
20 acres.
and I'll be transparent with you on my personal life. My wife would prefer me not to say things like this, but we're a single income family, and we choose to be. My wife has a college degree. She could go out and earn us another $70,000 to $120,000 a year. We choose to live off of one income because I want my wife to have all the time she can with our kids. That constant focus on our kids allows my kids to be more successful, in my opinion, okay? I make what I would like to deem as a fair wage for what I do, okay? I'm probably just considered an average middle-class guy. I can afford a house in his neighborhood. I'm looking for him right now, have been for 2 years. You can ask Jeff, who's in the room, and I talk to him about it sometimes about, I've been looking for a house in that $300,000 to $350,000 range. But I also want 10 acres. It doesn't exist anymore. I can't find 10 acres and a $350,000 house. The house right next to Jeff Legali, what did it end up selling for?
Last time was like $410.
$410, and it was on 10 acres, and then if I would've done that, I would've wanted to turn around and sell the back 5 acres to Jeff, because, just to save the money, cause I don't need it, I don't need, I would like to have it, but at those price ranges, I don't have to have it, and so, there's a lot of families just like me, who, and I have some, land out in eastern Oklahoma that, yeah, I could sell that, and then I could pay cash for the thing, but I wanna continue to own land, I want to own more land, I wanna have places that I can turn over to my kids someday when I pass. And you can't afford to go buy 100 acres anymore unless you go to far western Oklahoma, or you start getting into desert country way out west. Even in southeastern Oklahoma, we have people from Texas coming up there and buying stuff at $8,000 to $9,000 an acre, just so they can hunt on it. They don't even wanna develop it, they just they'll pay that price just to shoot a deer, and some hogs. It's the reality of where we are, and there's a lot of families, good families, that make a decent wage, that would be a positive impact on our community, that want to move here to get away from the Mustangs and the kids that are meowing and crapping in litter boxes at their houses. They wanna get away from that and live in a smaller community, and they don't have a place to move to, and so naturally, that's gonna happen, because those people are gonna buy land and gonna move into developed areas.
Well, you
to
brought up a
get.
good point, because a while ago you said you came out here running away from cattle
Right.
because it got too crowded.
Correct.
And so that's what you have to decide. How many houses can you handle here?
But,
And then if they sell this, they may wanna build here too. And so it's almost impossible for you to figure out what the future's gonna be 50 years from now.
Right.
Because the people in Mustang tell me the same story that you do. Oh, we've been here 15, 20 years. That's the last to me. We're 4th generation farmers. 15 years, you're an infant here. And you're saying, I want this. I want my 10 acres. You're kinda like a little baby saying, I want this. Did you deserve 10 acres? And you said, oh man, I worked for it. No, my grandfather died for it at the age of 40. So I know what it's like, because he came here from Tennessee with nothing on his back but his clothes. And they work in broomcorn country. And I don't know how you know how dirty that is, and how disgusting that is to work like that. But he did buy 160 acres, but he died probably from the stress at 40, trying to find out how to pay off $8,000 for 160 acres with a house and a barn.
And
now, that's inflation. That's not what this land is worth. It's what we've been told it's worth. And we keep saying we want more, we want more, we want more. We want more for our kids, we want more for this. But I'm telling you, what you're wanting, you ran away from in Tuttle.
And
now you're here, and now you're saying, we're gonna build another Tuttle here, and then in 15 years, you're gonna move, because you don't like it here.
And I
Please don't do that.
and I do sympathize, and you've done a good job of explaining your side, and I appreciate that.
And I appreciate your point.
But my only question would be, if we all wanted to get together, and we wanted to stop the growth, how do we do that?
I don't think you should stop the growth around your town. But this is 4 miles down.
This will be my last, unless I'm asked a question, this will be my last thing, and I admire your roots and your heritage, your family, I mean that sincerely, man. As a developer, you're concerned about the density.
Yes.
There is no such thing as a good developer. And, my daughter is one of four is here tonight, and you won't believe this, but I can assure you, like, when it comes to land that we've been blessed to own, it's like, I hate developing it, but it's what provides a living for my family, and it's what enables me to bless many others. When you talk about density, here's, and I hope you hear this, somebody may come closer to town, and I'll give you some company names. Companies from a business aspect, I'd love to be. The largest home builder in America, D.R. Horton, is building all over the state of Oklahoma. The largest builder in America, D.R. Horton, is building all in small towns now. They have ramped it up because another public builder by the name of Lennar is now in town. Roush Coleman is a regional builder that closed over 4,000 homes, $900 and something million. And from a business aspect, oh my goodness, I'd love to be Roush Coleman Homes. But hear me loud and clear. The tenant or the investor that is going to buy a Roush Coleman home is much, much different than the buyer that we're targeting. It's on 3/4 of an acre with a shop, investing many times over $300,000. And so the irony is most developers don't do what we do because they can't get the density. The irony of the density conversation is most developers, they want 4 or 5 now. I just left the Build to Rent conference last week in Dallas. They want 8, 10 units per acre. So we're talking about basically 1. And the quality of buyer, stereotypically, if I may, that you're going to attract to your town is light years better than what you may get if somebody buys the water and sewer tract and they want 5, 6 units per acre, and they're gonna be dialed in, how many houses can we, cookie cutter houses, can we slam in there that are as close to $200,000 as we can get, and then the investors are gonna come in because it's cheap, affordable housing, so they can turn around and rent them and fill it up. That is, go to the bank, like, the density that we're talking about is not ideal. And, most people, ideal homes, pun intended, wouldn't be attracted to it. Home Creations does more on acreage today. They build hundreds and hundreds of homes across the state. But they're looking for water and sewer. Many of these companies, Roush Coleman, it's how low can you go? And the product that we're, delivering on a gravel road, ironically, is something that I'm proud of, and I can assure you, if you did your due diligence and you knocked on the doors and go meet the people that are buying them, that's the people that you want in your community. You don't want in my opinion, you don't want the investor buying the $200,000 house because it's so cheap to make it a rental. They can't go out to 3, they won't. They could. If you had the wherewithal, you're not gonna buy a rental home on 3/4 of an acre so you can mow the lawn. Like, that is not target rental. That is home ownership. That is pride of ownership. And so I'm very, very biased. Forgive my bias. I'm very much at peace seeing what the cards may bring and us selling the land and moving on down the road. I'm here in good faith, and I understand. I hate developing land, and people that don't know me would never believe it. I hate it. I wish I could keep everything I've ever bought, but it's what provides a living for our family and blesses many. But don't forget, they want density, and they're gonna build a product that is nothing like what you're seeing, nothing like it. Go to the bank on that one.
You're correct on the clientele is different, bunch of people.
Yeah.
And they are 10 feet apart, the houses, and,
Yeah.
So when Roush Coleman was looking at building right here, I believe they were looking at 6 houses per acre.
6,
Should I bring up something?
And in all reality,
of course.
I'll be quiet.
in all reality, at what he paid for his property, if he sells it, it's gonna go to somebody like that. And you'll end up with 6 houses per acre.
So, on the city side, or, let me back up, fire side, young people unfortunately are graduating and leaving.
And they
They're
have
not
been
staying
they
here.
have been for generations.
And I'm all for farming and all that. We've gotta get some growth. For instance, on the fire department, there's a population of, 2,500 in Union City? You know how hard it is when you get 17 people to volunteer to be on the department, 17. and not all of them are working out all the time. It's tough. My point of people leaving is, that means there ain't youngsters here wanting to get on. At some point, they're gonna catch up with us. We've got to grow, keep things like that going. Flip side, I used to do water wells, different things, and I've talked with the city manager at Piedmont before. Go talk to them, because what happens is, you tell him no every time, they're gonna go 1 mile on the city limit side and do what they want with mud puddle roads, and you can't do nothing about it, and you're still gonna have 840 people driving down 59 to get there. That part you're not gonna stop. So, it's either work with them, or they're gonna do it somewhere else. And that's exactly what happened to Piedmont. Matter of fact, they built all around them, and then boom, jumped their town, and they had no control, and all of a sudden their town's overwhelmed, and they couldn't do nothing about it. So, I would rather live out in the middle of the sticks with not a neighbor for 10 acres, or, miles if I could, but reality is I don't. And, so, you can look at other communities where you keep saying no, they're gonna just go right outside city limits, and you can't say a thing about them putting 400 trailer houses per acre there, if they can make it fit. And you get all that traffic every now, so, but back to the fire, we gotta get more people just to be in the community to help us, cause you can't afford a full-time fire department if you don't have people.
How
There's
many
no
of
business.
your officers live in Union City?
Two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you go right into Mustang and some of the little bit nicer neighborhoods right there, we have officers living just barely
I'll
outside.
tell you right now, if they build houses like that, I'll buy.
Yeah, and that's the tough part, right? Because we joke sometimes about the TV show Yellowstone. I love that show. There's nothing about that TV show I don't enjoy on a lot of levels.
like Yellowstone.
Yeah, the TV show Yellowstone. Yeah, you haven't? Well, it deals in this very topic. It's a guy who owns a massive amount of land, anyway, and developers are constantly trying to steal everything he has, right? I mean, there's not a person in this room, I don't think, that would love to have that huge piece of property with a beautiful cabin right in the middle of it. And that's a dream for a lot of people. But the essence of that show is even with everything he has and every fight he has, trying to just pay the taxes on it and just trying to keep that land. I mean, we're in a tough place as a society, and that's a whole other topic, but the growth is coming. I just, and that's where it's tough for me, because I wanna lean towards you, I want to sympathize, and I want to be passionate as far as, it is why I moved here. You're right, you're not wrong, you're 100% right. I wanted a small town feel, I wanted to know my neighbors, go out any neighbor in my block right there, I help them when the times are tough. They borrow things from me, my door, probably shouldn't publicly say I locked my front door in 15 years, I haven't, and don't care. Don't plan on locking it tomorrow, to be honest with you. So if y'all want something, come and get it, because I'd probably loan it to you anyways. I mean, that's the atmosphere that you wanna live in, especially when things get really rough. It's the community that gets you through those times. But how do we promote the growth to keep the fire department going, to keep the infrastructure where it needs to be, to support the schools that are outdated and don't have all the programs? How do we do all that without it also inviting gentlemen like this within our community that wanna try to make a positive impact, right? It's like, where's that balance? And it's tough. I don't have all the answers, but just know that we do understand, Yes, ma'am.
I know you said you wanna get ahead of it, of the growth. Okay. He wants to put all them houses out there. He says, okay, I'm tired of farming, I'm gonna sell my land to him too. He goes out there and throws 1,000 houses out on his land. He says, okay, I'm tired of this, I'm selling my land. Where are you gonna put a stop to it? I mean, not stop, but you're talking about getting ahead of the growth. Are you gonna say, oh no, we've already got this and we can't grow anymore, you can't sell yours to a developer?
And that's the tough conversation, because in America, I can't stop his family from selling his property. If they get to a point where they feel that pressure, but they also see the total income of what that land's worth, and they make the conscious decision to sell that land, in a free country, he can sell that to whomever he wants to.
Right.
And,
But is this developer gonna go, okay, I'm gonna buy it, with my land, I'm gonna put another 1,000 houses there? Union City is now Mustang, is now Tuttle,
You wanna get
So-
ahead of it, how do you keep it slowed down so that it doesn't become Mustang or Cutlass? How do you
So
keep
that's
it-
where our comprehensive plan comes into effect, that she mentioned earlier. That is something we've been working on very, very diligently. None of the towns that have exploded had a comprehensive plan in place.
Right.
So,
Mustang didn't.
Piedmont didn't, Mustang didn't, Yukon didn't,
Deer Creek
didn't, Bridge Creek didn't, and we are in the process of making this happen before a growth explosion happens.
Good.
But
So-
it's our city ordinances, it's our code enforcement, which is to me, and I know it upsets some people, the code enforcement is the single biggest issue that I see from an outsider looking in at our current issues within our community, is because no matter what you build, I don't care if they are $500,000 a piece houses, or if they're $50,000 a piece houses. You can on some level have both if your code enforcement is structured and in a book the way it should be, and being enforced the way it should be. Because it keeps, I'll call it riffraff, it keeps the riffraff and the, you know, back to what he's saying, I have actually been to neighborhoods that have 8 and 10 houses per acre, and they're beautiful, and their lawns are amazing. I mean, you can go to certain parts of this country and go to these very populous areas, and they have some beautiful neighborhoods, beautiful. But it's about the structure and the HOAs and the code enforcement after the sale. Because you can also go to some places where, you know, they've developed houses that were very nice houses. I can take you to a family member of mine, they paid $425,000 for a house over in Dell City. You should go look at that house now. It's a complete nightmare, and it's a train wreck, and my cousins have just destroyed it. There's holes in every wall, they don't cut their grass, the city's on them all the time. I mean, you know, it's the enforcement side is just as important after the sale of the home and afterwards, that keeps neighborhoods and keeps populated areas that look nice and are presentable. You go to Kingfisher, a lot of old homes. You go to Guthrie in certain neighborhoods, I mean, people are going back in and revamping those homes. Go to Waco, take a vacation and go to Waco and see what Chip and Joe, 2 people off of a TV channel, have done to a town that was dying. It was an old 80s oil field town that was, the original maker of Dr. Pepper had one of the most beautiful historic homes you've ever seen, and you should go look at that house. It's so ran down, and now the historical society is trying to get in there, but it's the money from Chip and Joe's empire, I'll call it, that they built down there in the Silo district. It's just revamping that entire, houses that are 75 years old are coming back to life, and they're beautiful. I mean, absolutely gorgeous homes, and the neighborhoods are coming, but it's, you know, it's that atmosphere. It's creating a structure after the sale, after the close of a home, that keeps it looking nice, that keeps it clean, that puts pride. People that own their homes usually have a higher sense of pride, especially people that are buying $300,000 homes and up. You know, there's a sense of pride there, you know, that they want their stuff to look nice. You know, they're inviting family and friends over, and they want that stuff to look nice. But, you know, I just...
And I think, you know, that's a big part of what we're doing, is we're trying to bring this growth in a way that it is people that aren't gonna come to your house and rob you blind in the middle of the night.
We appreciate that.
No, but they're gonna have nice homes over there, and they're gonna drive out my crap.
We appreciate the honesty.
You know, that's another side of it.
Yeah.
You know, I was sitting there trying to remember too, that y'all, I don't know any rest of them here, but I can remember the 4 stores there in Mustang.
Yeah.
Barely remember.
Mm-hmm.
And, now you see it now, and, they promoted the small town USA, and, it's not small anymore, it's just, anyway, but, they had the 2-lane road, and you all remember when it had a 2-lane road through there, anybody? Okay, well, they used to have 2-lane roads through there, and, I always take it before they put in the 4-lane there with a pickup, I'd see go through there, small S10, or I don't remember what it was way back then, and it had a bumper sticker on the back of it, it said, "Pray for me, I travel 152 through Mustang." And I said, you know what, they need to bring it back out again, because I tell you what, getting through that thing down is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But anyway,
So, and since you brought up Mustang, you know, a part of this comprehensive plan, you know where the police department is. There's a neighborhood right there behind it, and there's accidents all the time. Well, that's what this comprehensive plan is for, is to keep stuff like that from happening. You know, you have a big commercial frontage, and a giant neighborhood behind it, and you've got all those people trying to come out one entrance. And it just causes congestion, it causes accidents, it causes issues. And with this comprehensive plan, it'll help us build into the future without those issues. You know, it'll make sure that commercial areas are where they're supposed to be. It'll make sure industrial is where it's supposed to be. It'll make sure that housing is where it's supposed to be. And, you know, we're trying to keep it from, and I mean, realistically, you know, we are the wild, wild west. We are where everybody's going. Whether we like it or not, it's coming. And, you know, I don't want it to be the wild, wild west. Whenever developers come up, I wanna say, this is the only place that you can put it, you know? This is what has to happen. But with the way that everything is written in our books, that doesn't exist, you know? And so we're gonna try to maintain the growth in the most effective way possible. The way that it keeps issues from arising in the future. I don't know that there's any way to, like Keith was saying, I mean, how do you stop it? Well, you get every farmer in Union City to go together and buy every piece of property here. They're not gonna do it, you know? And unfortunately, and people hate it when I say this, and I'm gonna say it anyways. The vast majority of this, we're getting into third and fourth generation farming. And, you know, the first generation, like you said, they died for it. They bled for it. The second generation, they are busting their behinds to make sure it keeps going. The third generation, man, they really like video games and computers, and I really don't want to be a farmer, Dad. And then we end up with this giant piece of property that he purchased.
This is fifth generation right here.
You know, I would love to say that, hey, we can keep farming going forever. But if you don't have people that want, if you don't have people that want to farm.
So you've got them out there, and he goes over there and starts at 10 o'clock at night, trying to either combine before it rains, or he's trying to put up alfalfa, and they're calling him and saying, I can't sleep, make them shut it down.
And Adam
And
says-
they have to do it.
No, they don't. He's agriculture, and he has every right to. It's funny you bring that up.
It happened in Mustang, I can tell you, because I know it happened.
Oh, I thought he was pointing to my neighbor.
Oh, no, I live here in town, right over here behind the Catholic Church, and north of mine is Charlie Grease's pasture.
Right.
Okay, that thing, throughout the summertime, all beginning, he grows that thing 6-7 foot tall, and then he bales it, right? There was one morning, I don't remember, it was 2-3 in the morning, them boys were pulling an all-nighter out there in that pasture.
Yeah.
And my wife elbows me, and she's like, aren't there noise sills? And I'm like, what? I mean, cause I come from a working, and I'm not saying my wife don't, she does, but, you know, in her mind, like, if you live in town, it should be quiet at nighttime. And she asked me about that, and I started laughing at her. I'm like, guys, it's like, got rain coming tomorrow, like, you got a good tape out of the field. You know, I was laughing at her, but in her mind, like, you know, he shouldn't be able to drive that huge loud tractor and combine right by my bedroom window, you know? And to me, you know, I'm laughing at her because it's two different worlds colliding, but I'm also like, you know, there's nothing I would rather hear next to my house than a combine. I'd be a lot better than an apartment building or all the other things that could be there, you know? And so those things are realistic, you're not wrong. And you do get the clash of two worlds and two different generations and two different things, but as an agriculture, he can cut his hay all night long, any day he wants to, and there's nothing anybody can do about it.
So,
and and if I'd have known that, I might have brought you Texas coal out inside, but, you know, it's
It's moon pie.
Can I ask you guys something?
Yes.
Can I ask y'all to do something for me as code enforcement?
Absolutely.
Can you guys move this to the subdivision committee and allow them to start talking to these people?
I
To
believe
move
so,
this forward, because we're just going round and round and round,
Yeah.
you know?
No, we're just having a good conversation. It's
But
important for people to be able
before we
to.
send them away
Yeah.
with no answers, no plan to move forward. The subdivision committee will make a recommendation to you, it'll come back to you. They do have the option of allowing gravel roads.
And we can have a town hall discussion.
We can do a
Yeah.
whole community discussion if need
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
But to allow this to start, so that they know, you know.
Yeah, cause we haven't rezoned anything or done anything, there's no reason why it can't go ahead and go to the
And
planning.
at least let, you know, some of
Subdivision.
the big stuff get started to talk about, including this, and this will give them an opportunity too, to do, you know, a little bit more in regards to what the cost is.
And I'm glad she brought that up, that's also the next step.
That is our next
It'll go
step.
through a subdivision committee, and it'll be discussed there. And, I mean, this isn't something that just happens overnight. Every single step of the way, we're trying to cross all our Ts, dot all our Is, and make sure it's as even for everybody as possible. So, I would make a motion that we send it to the subdivision committee. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
No.
Alright, motion approved, goes to subdivision committee.
Is there anything else you guys need out of us? No, okay, thank you guys very much for your presentation tonight.
Well, before they leave, I would like to say, I've visited with Mr. Williams before,
Yes.
and I have, had good time visiting with him, and there's been other developers that I didn't, several developers that I didn't, who, you know, when I was farming the property, they come in and cut the fences and started making roads before I even got the cows out of them, and they didn't even tell me they were coming in, and I still had a rental property rented.
Yeah.
And so, and I had one gentleman, from Mustang, a developer, tell the people that own the farm that the lease didn't mean that I had for farming, didn't mean. And so I've had some real issues with some of these gentlemen, but I just want to say that Mr. Williams and I have talked before, and I feel pretty good about his intentions, but it's just that I'm not real happy about, you know, all the houses out there.
And I 100%, I understand, you know, like whenever she said, well, could he just do it right? You know, if they would swap him property, absolutely he could. But would they?
But this one's gonna cost more.
Yeah.
It's closer.
But like he said, you know, it's capitalism, it's coming whether we like it or not. And unfortunately for y'all, it's coming from both directions, it's coming down Banner and 152.
Well,
You know.
but I just don't think, I mean, you sound like you've got an idea on growth and plans, but I just, in some areas, not here, but in other towns, I've been involved in, they see the dollar sign,
Yeah.
and they take it in so fast that they don't deal with what happens afterwards. And it's the dollar sign that gets them.
And honestly, you know, from me to you, I don't know if there's anybody that sits at this table that is looking at the dollar sign.
So to be honest, I could care
We're looking
less.
at the people.
Yeah, I'm looking at the quality of the people that we can invite to our community and the quality of the structures that are being brought to our community. That's the two most important things to me overall when I look at the growth.
If
It's,
it
can we
was-
make things look as nice as possible? Can we invite people within our community that are gonna be a positive impact on our community and our schools and our neighbors? And that's the things that are most important to me. Can we control an aspect? Of course we cannot. I mean, that's what these guys do every day for a
Yeah,
living,
and I
is
mean,
fixing those issues.
Realistically, if it was dollar signs for us, you'd have 142 trailer houses going in next door.
Yeah, because that's, you know, and that's
Well,
originally.
now, this is the first time, I mean, just recently when I heard about this, so that's what I thought we was gonna hear tonight.
Yeah, well, and that's where, cause they brought us those plans, and not that those plans don't work for certain areas, for more rural areas and those kind of things. You know, I'm very thankful that they've worked with us and gone back to the drawing board and tried to come back and present to us what we believe would be a better option for our community. You know, and being flexible with that, you know, and that's, you know, I don't know ultimately within y'all's team who makes those decisions or is open to those, but we appreciate that because they're trying to meet us in the middle, you know, on some level. So, I appreciate that.
I appreciate y'all looking everything over and studying this now and really
again, we're a long ways from it, you know, I mean, it's, you know, that subdivision committee, I'm sure they're gonna ask of these guys things that they're not gonna provide, and there's gonna be a little back and forth, and ultimately, we hope that, you know, they meet in the middle, and, you know, it's a positive impact, but, you know, they'll look at all those things as time goes, so, and again, the
And we
growth.
would love for y'all to come to subdivision committee meetings also.
And is there any openings on the subdivision committee? Or is it all full?
Except-
I'm sorry, that's right, I meant but the planning commission, is there any open seats on that? We're always inviting people for, there's open seats on the planning commission as well, so, we're always looking for leaders within the community that are willing to volunteer their time like we do to help with this, so.
And, you know, it's those seats that try to keep this under control, you know, to keep it where it's not atrocious when it's all over and done with. Me personally, I don't ever wanna see Union City being Mustang. I don't. I honestly don't wanna see Union City as Tuttle. I would like to see Union City somewhere between Minko and Tuttle, size-wise, you know? Just big enough where we can go get milk, where we can go get some groceries. And
That's right.
have a cafe for Ryan to go drink coffee at.
And for our talented kids to have some advanced classes in
Yes.
school, just, you know, small things like that, you know, I mean, it's, you know.
Well, the positive community as well feels like you do, there's quite a few of them that I've known, that they don't want it to really,
Yeah,
and there goes the small town again.
yeah, and so that's what we've been fighting for, is to keep that from happening, you know? To keep it under control, because if we just leave everything like it's always been, as the Wild Wild West, it's gonna be Mustang in 20 years.
We still have 18 saloons.
Yeah.
Parts will dry up.
Yeah.
So, I hope you feel like we are being diligent at trying to do what's best for our community. You know, I would love to see more, in our education system, you know. For me, you know, my daughter goes to school at Minko, and I get a lot of people to question, why does she go to school at Minko? Well, she goes to school at Minko because her very first day at Minko, she signed up for more stuff than Union City could provide her entire high school career in her first day, you know? And if we don't provide that, the next generation is gonna leave. And this town cannot survive that. It just can't. We're moving into a new era in the human life, you know, that, you know, I know your son is probably the smartest person I've ever met in my life. And there are so many things that he should have been presented that he wasn't, you know, and I don't want that to be the reason that generation after generation after generation continues to leave. And to be honest with you, you know, I've been pushing Kroger on as many people as I can, because the city does get some tax dollars off of it, you know? But how much better would it be if right down the street we had a little grocery store? And you didn't have to drive the Mustang or Yukon or El Reno, and you could go right down there and get your milk and your vegetables there, you know? So I mean, there's a million things that we're trying to do all at one time, and all we ask is you just be patient with us and trust that we're trying to do the very best we can. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much.
Take care.
All right. 8C, ordinance number 355, consideration and possible approval, denial, amendment, revision, or acceptance of the Section 3, Article 42B, sale of fireworks. To read the location for the application is Code Enforcement Office in Payne. It's to the town of Union City with the amount changed to $100 from $250. Do I have a motion?
This is one we've already discussed multiple times, so I'll make a motion for 8C, we change it to $100.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Alright, ordinance number 356, consideration possible approval, denial, amendment, revision, or acceptance of section 312 business professions, trades, occupations, and privileges of the town to be renewed yearly, and the amounts respectively indicated. License fees are $25 per day, $50 per week, or $100 per year.
We've also,
Bob and I have been working on it as well, as we sent it to Tom sent back his additions, and that's what you guys have with the phone.
does everybody agree with those amounts that we've already discussed in previous meetings?
Those are the amounts.
That's the ones we discussed already.
What we've
There's also
done
the
is
types of
we've
business.
quantified
Yeah.
and identified all the different professions.
Okay.
And also given the language that it's not limited to the.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
we don't-
Case by case basis of it.
Anybody have anything? Everybody good?
I like it.
Okay. I'll make a motion, we approve 8D to, trying to put the amounts. License fee will be 25 per day, 50 per week, and 100 per year.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second?
I have a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Aye, sorry. 8E, property located at 2915 State Highway 152. Consideration and possible approval, denial, amendment, revision, acceptance of appraisals received of property located at 2915 State Highway 152.
You guys should have 3 appraisals.
Each day, you put a code on
In
it.
your packet.
Thank you. Turn it up. The code?
So it's not zoned commercial or residential?
No.
It
And it's currently still one property. We did we did, like, had a, land surveyor come out, and they split that property up into 3 sections for us and pinned it and marked it for us, if we wanted to sell it off in 3 multiple sections, or if we wanted to do, but it's all still, the zoning's still the same, everything. We haven't really done anything with it other than, remove the house and the structures off of it, basically.
There's a resident that was interested in purchasing a portion or all of it.
Yeah.
He's been messaging me, sorry, he just signed off the tractor, or he would be here this evening. Yes. He's on the, too.
So,
Well, there's a big difference between these three.
Yeah.
I think the third one is good as commercial.
The lower one.
Oh, okay.
And that's the thing, without knowing exactly what you're wanting to do with the property,
Mm-hmm.
obviously that rear portion would be residential since it backs up to park side.
Yeah.
But the frontage with the direction we're going with the comprehensive plan, the frontage would be commercial. Am I correct?
Say that again.
With the direction that you're trying to go with the comprehensive plan, that frontage would definitely
Yes,
want to
it'll
be
be commercial.
yeah, but as you're talking to him, and if anybody wants to add, when I picture how that purchaser needs to present the option to buy this, is we gotta have real plans set in front of us as to what you're gonna do with the property. I personally think we would be crazy just to relinquish that property for a cash price, and there not be any plans to do
And
anything
they
with
said
it.
last time they could
Yeah,
bring you,
that property has to have plans before you can purchase, and.
you have to know whether you're willing to purchase first.
Yeah, no, the land's for sale, I think, we need that cash flow back in our bank, but we want some, you know,
And how do people about
something,
that?
some kind of positive impact on the community, or everything we've done spend for nothing. I mean, if we let that thing go, and someone just sits on it for 10 years, we could have sat on it for 10 years, you know, I mean,
Tell you a story. The town I'm from has 250 people, Milliken. It's 4 miles from Valiant, which is about a little bigger than this, 12 miles from Idleville. All those have stores. They're putting a freaking Dollar General in,
Oh, yeah.
250 people.
if
It's
someone will
6
build,
miles from the other.
I'm telling you, if someone
So
will.
how can it not be one?
We've gotta have the building, the structure built, and that, and they'll move in. I mean, I don't, you know, and I think that happens anyways, whether this particular investor wants to do a grocery store or whatever he wants to do, but,
And he was saying he would
Yeah.
build it,
yeah,
do a long-term lease.
of course, yeah. But, and I don't know, guys, to be honest with you, if we sell off the whole thing, I mean, if it's a Dollar General he wants to put in, or a grocery store, you know, we ask how much space does that need, what do those drawings look like, and we sell, You know, when you start getting into commercial, it's a lot of times sold by the square foot, not by the total acreage.
Who was the second appraisal from?
That would be Ken Carpenter.
Oh,
I'm not a big.
I was trying to figure out who Ken Cut was.
Ken Carpenter.
And then
We
here,
would ask for those.
the camera cat.
Just, got it.
The
Alright.
next step to offer it for sale, I mean,
Yeah, I think so.
where do we go from here? I don't know what to tell anybody.
We can, I mean, we can stick a realtor sign in the yard. Again, we want plans, thanks.
Take it off.
We put it out for bid, is that an option to do for us? Or part of the bid proposal has to have plans of.
You could do it that way, or, I mean, you can advertise it for sale. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I would,
If you have, I'm just asking, if you advertise, do you have to have a number? I mean,
no,
and if the
No.
first number gets it, then it's
Yeah.
for bid.
I
One fifty
mean,
sounds good.
yeah, I think you offer it for sale and can be divided, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know,
Don't get it wrong, nobody wants to go worse than me out there.
yeah.
Yeah, and so I think in my head, you know, one of the things that we need to decide is, do we wanna expand on our park system? You know,
Yeah.
do we wanna use that piece of
We
property?
gotta get,
that property?
yeah, we gotta get serious, well, and,
Definitely need to expand the parking lot.
yeah,
Yeah, that's gone,
yeah,
and then the other piece is gone.
yeah,
We definitely need to
Yeah,
block
that's
off
more
the
parking.
section for
Yeah.
parking.
yeah,
Yeah.
for the baseball field and
Thank
stuff,
you.
yeah. Thank you, it's a huge problem, it's getting to be a bigger issue, over the next 2 years, it's gonna become even more of an issue, but, we need, does anyone know, or do we have the records of who deeded the park over to the town of Union City?
I think it's at the bank in the safety deposit box.
Can someone put that on their action item to get us that information? And then Tom, can you, cause it's our understanding, according, to Gina, that you, cause you were here when that took place, right? That land was, huh?
I wasn't here, but
You're an 8-year-old.
But the land was our understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, it was deeded over to the city for park use only.
Yeah.
But if we reach out to the family, and if the family agrees to, can we re-deed an existing, even maybe larger size in their name, back further off of the frontage, and then relinquish that property there for commercial rights? You know, for the town to use it and sell it off as commercial.
Yeah.
Because, when there's games in place and things like that, kids will utilize that park. I can't hardly think of a single time, really, that you drive by there and see it. If you do, there's a car parked there and maybe one mom and a couple kids, but nobody just lets their kids leave the Parkview area and go play in that neighborhood. No, is there not a lot of kids that live in that neighborhood? I don't know, I'm just saying, I don't ever see anybody utilizing it outside of Easter, 4th of July, baseball game. And I picture if the park's back there where the pond is, or, closer to the neighborhood, back there in that corner, that, kids from the new housing and the existing housing would be more likely to use that park area, and plus it makes a lot more sense for that frontage road to not be a park, but,
I think we can work something like that, sure.
so, we need to find out who that family is.
Don't I have that deed? I think I do.
I was thinking we had done this before,
Well,
We
you're
talked
asking
about it.
questions,
when we
Tom.
were talking about that property
I
before.
see a lot of.
Because we need to find out, if it's out of the question and we can't do it, then we know that and we can move on. But if that property can, then we know we need to save X number
We
of
can make-
area, we need
We
to
can
do
take that
parking.
piece of property, move it over to
Switch
this
it,
side.
I understand.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
understand what the deal is, yeah.
Cause I have that guy,
cause it's a lot more valuable as parking than it is as park, if we
Yeah.
can move the park.
yeah, but Lance Mills will draw it probably for us at no charge, just to show us what that park and parking area could look like, or whatever we request out of them.
Let's have somebody draw that,
Okay,
and then all those in the seventies, we can do
Adam just walked out.
Alright, David, no action.
Maybe you and Adam get together and pencil me together what you think park should be, in adjacent to that neighborhood, and kinda, it can just be on a scrap piece of paper, and then I can have the engineer draw it for us.
Another question, thinking out loud as we're talking. School, my understanding is, a long time ago, I seen a drawing that had everything over there, including the football field, but it had baseball and everything. Is that the long-term goal?
I haven't seen it, I don't even.
I know you're not football, I'm
Yeah.
not baseball.
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
But on the question, then, we have to think in the future about where the park,
So-
field is.
So, and bring that question up more, I know Ryan, you know, you mentioned in the past that, and I like Ryan, cause he can speak for the longer term history, and he had a family member that park's named after, is forever leaving it there, right? So.
It may be, I don't know,
Yeah.
I just know it's a school.
But there is a portion of people that want it moved there, and the reason being is because they can access all the locker rooms, the batting cages and all that stuff during active, like right now, the girls, while they're having active practice, they can rotate girls in and out, but we can't do that. In baseball, everybody's over here.
Right.
And so, another tough problem is, well, and we've discussed this in past meetings, we have privately raised in the last 12 months around $22,000 or so now, I think, in the baseball booster club. The other night, balance was just over 12,000 that we've got left over. And, you know, there's a group of parents right now that we want to redo all the fencing, we want all that stuff done. We want the sprinkler system put in like they did at the softball field. We did $7,000 worth of upgrades to the park, or to the, infield, this last, fall. And so, we're most likely gonna do another $10,000 worth of upgrades in the next, right after spring baseball season's over. We're gonna probably go ahead and look at adding that sprinkler system in and doing all that. One of the things I want that the booster club meeting asked that I bring to you all is, so we've got to make, again, all that money's been privately raised and privately spent because of the tough situation of the school doesn't own the land, and walking in here and asking for money from the city all the time isn't always the greatest option either. So the money continues to be privately raised, and then we spend that money. Well, all that money being invested is money being invested for the kids, right? But then if they do end up moving it over there, you know, down the road, then we've invested all this money in all these upgrades here. I'm not gonna say for nothing, because there's kids that are gonna utilize them right away, but that is the long term. Because like, what they asked me to come and talk to you guys about was, we've got to, we moved the scoreboard, I don't remember how many thousands of dollars we spent relocating that scoreboard. And now,
We paid for that.
yeah, and the city we did approve and pay for that, but the scoreboard, the lights are all burned out on it now. And, the one in right field, that's just a score only clock, it's completely burned out, nothing's working on it anymore. And so I got the name, I went up in that booth, the name of the company that put all that stuff in is a company called Spectrum Corporation. And what they all want to do now is keep the existing board, or look at keeping the existing boards, but updating everything to LED and putting a new controller in there. Cause right now, like, we can't get the score or anything to show up in the outfield. And we've tried chasing wires, we spent 3 hours on it one day and 2 hours on it again. This whole entire last fall season, we didn't even run scoreboard in the fall. So they're wanting to know, is the city, and I was gonna put this under any new business and we can circle back to that, but they were gonna see, do we want.
Power up?
Huh?
Does it power up?
It powers up, but the switch that's like on a light pole halfway in between the two, there was issues with that, and I don't know, at one time they fixed it, I don't know if were you involved in that or somebody, I don't know, somebody fixed it, and then, we're having issues with it again. But it's a constant issue of even getting the power to stay on. And so, they wanted to reach out to the Spectrum company who put it all in originally, because that company's still around, but now everything they're doing at the schools that we visit when we're in away games, they have the same company's done it all, but everything's updated to LED, and they don't have all the light problems and all the issues that they have, because the LED runs off of the
I would
left
say
voltage and stuff,
contact
but,
them and find out what it costs and then
Yeah.
make an approach.
yeah.
So are we tabling then, AE?
AE is tabled until we know how we need to split it for the commercial.
Yeah, so we're gonna find out who the family is, and if we can reach out to that family that deeded the park over, and see if they want to, and if they can work with us. And then I told him, if maybe y'all two can get together and kind of see where you think, if we did move the park, like what makes the most sense back there, and how much of that we would need to move the park, and then just pencil something down that we can have the engineer draw it.
So I'm assuming you're thinking, where the playground's moving now, becomes parking, is that what you?
Well, that or commercial, I mean, I don't know, that's called, do we want, parking, all that being parking, plus some additional parking around the
Sure, I just want to.
first base side,
Yeah.
but, and then wherever you guys think the park's gonna be, and maybe some parking for that, but whatever y'all kind of pencil down, I'll have the engineer throw it on some legit paper that we can then give, or show this family.
So table 8E and 8F. 8G, food truck, consideration of possible approval, denial, amendment, revision, or the acceptance of Rosa Pisano parking a taco truck at 650 North Main.
She was supposed to be here, and she's not, so I respectfully ask you to table that.
Okay. 650 North Main, is that where the water tower is?
That's where Riverview was parked.
Okay.
I don't believe she's consistent enough in what she does.
Well, that was gonna be my question for tonight, was how often is it gonna be open?
Yeah, having it open would be the thing.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
it should be a parking space because I'm requiring her to remove it from where it's sitting presently.
Is there anything?
And I think that's part of it.
Do we have anything that says if she parks it there, it has to be open a certain amount of time, certain amount
Or
of
be
days?
removed, we could do that.
Otherwise, she's just storing her
Yeah.
food truck there.
Table 8G, number 9, Department of Union City Police.
You all have the report, let me know if you got any questions.
Did you get a new officer hired yet?
We're in the interview background process.
Um,
The guy that we're looking at, that's probably gonna give an offer to, he's a pretty sharp guy, he has a MBA, he's a jiu-jitsu guy, fitness trainer, and, he seems like he'd be a good fit, so we're doing background on him right now.
He's a wicked fire department in shape.
yeah, where's he teach jiu-jitsu, you know?
You had to ask,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Make that an interview question.
Yeah, I don't
He
know.
wasn't a cop here before, was he?
No, he's never been a police, he was a teacher for a while, mathematics teacher. He's good friends with a trooper, whose kids go to Banner School, and that trooper, whenever we posted it, told him, hey, you need to apply for this.
And it's crazy, I blame everybody in the room, but did we ask about a patrol car for that individual?
We're good.
We're good, you have one? Okay.
I have a couple of them on there I was gonna ask you about, was number 1, synthetic narcotics. What is that?
It can be anything from,
Does fentanyl count?
no, there's a lot of, like, prescriptions that are synthetics of opiates. I can't think of one specifically, but there's a lot of like heroin, synthetics that are out there that are prescription pills that is considered synthetic. 'Cause it's not a real opiate, but it acts like an opiate.
And then my other one was stolen vehicle, where did we lose a vehicle at?
It didn't turn out to be stolen.
Oh,
It was just a report.
okay.
We run into that all the time at the prison, and they take, what's that, appropriate, I say that word, the smelling stuff?
Smelling salts?
No, the stuff you put that makes it smell like good, appropriate, I say that.
Potpourri.
Yeah,
Yeah.
spice.
So synthetic marijuana at the prison now is
Yeah.
big, and they're using that, smoking it, but it's 15 times worse. It
So
makes
what
go
it
crazy.
is they take a bunch of plant material and they throw it out on the table. Then they have like the pump up weed sprayers and they spray it with a chemical. Well, if I'm spraying it and then I look over, this part's gonna get a little more dosage than this part, so it's not regulated, that's why it's all illegal anyway, but it's synthetic marijuana, but it's more so like a hallucinogen.
Has there been any, talks at all between you guys and the school about doing some training on, like, or some safety awareness on fentanyl?
Yeah, Tim's been talking and they kinda have a list of things that they want him to do presentations on. And then I've been trying to get with county or OBN to come out and do a dog sweep and a presentation. 'Cause
That was what I was fixing to ask you.
There's a problem and
Yeah.
Mr. Quigley had talked to me about a problem that he had heard about, so, I'm trying to get the right personnel in there to
So-
do a good.
And did I mention to you too, I can't remember, I called you maybe, but, talking to them about, getting it in the budget to put, vape sensors in all the bathrooms?
Yeah, you didn't mention that, yeah.
Yeah, we need to, can you talk to the resource officer about looking into that too, or trying to drive?
Tell you,
that
a lot of
somewhere?
things have stopped since he's been hanging out in the bathrooms at lunchtime.
Yeah.
That's where his new office is.
Yeah,
Nothing
well,
fine?
guys, if y'all know how bad the vaping problem is now at every school across this nation, it is freaking scary. And then when you're in my line of work and you walk into these places and see up the people who are loading vape pens for quote unquote medical cannabis industry, they don't need to be loading vape pens and they darn sure don't need to be getting up in the hands of susceptible youth, it's a nightmare, I mean, it really is, but, so he's
How's
hanging out.
our drone doing,
What?
drone?
So I've got one of our officers, Livermore, he's about to take his 107 test for the FAA, and then he'll be on call to help out on taxiing stuff whenever they need a backup. I still have it for if we ever need it. I
Did
don't-
we purchased that at Hazzy's with Canadian County?
No.
No, we paid
that
for
was
it ourselves.
We paid for it, so somebody really has with us.
Mm-mm.
That was ours. The county just bought two really big drones not too long ago. They got that on a,
Are y'all's marked, so I know which one's not to shoot out of the sky if they're spying on my house?
well, that's illegal anyway, but.
I still have a line in the sand. What's the consequences for that?
Not to the feds.
That's federal.
Yeah. It really is now, shooting a drone out of the sky?
Yeah, 'cause
You hear these guys
it's
talking about
the
it all
same
the
thing as
time.
if you're shooting at a helicopter or an airplane, because once it's in the air, it's federal airspace.
No kidding, that's good to know. But
You better not fly something that's wrong with it.
my luck, it would be.
So, we had a conversation back when I was flying for the TAC team. So FAA regulations that drones can't be armed. So like, we're flying in the airspace, it's illegal. What if we set it inside the door and then launched it? Is it still illegal?
Well, in the game, the wildlife game, rules, you can't arm drones for shooting wildlife and.
That's federal across the board.
Yeah. But,
Alright, 9A, radio system license agreement.
I believe,
We
reviewed that, basically a contract with Oklahoma City, or an agreement with Oklahoma City, allowing us to use their radio systems, provided they will donate their equipment, their old equipment to us. We just pay a monthly fee and they cover all maintenance after that.
how much is the monthly fee, do you know yet?
Yeah, I put that on there for you.
Oh, it is?
It's in my report. I didn't put the monthly fee is in that contract. On the first page of my report, I put what the remaining of the year plus install will cost for us, and this is fiscal year till July. So they'll install everything, set everything up in all the vehicles and fire trucks and everything, so, $52.72 for PD, $46.16 for fire department for this year, and then next fiscal year, then we would budget, for PD $17,356.80, fire department $12,500.
Tom, have you reviewed this?
Yes.
This agreement?
Yeah.
Everything looks kosher?
Yes, the agreement's fine, if that's the deal that you want.
So let me play the devil's advocate here. You know, a couple years ago, we were kind of looking into this situation, and we decided to purchase all new equipment for all of our stuff, because somebody could put in a jumper or something where they would communicate.
It doesn't help us talking to other agencies, that would only help us.
Yeah, that's,
We're on an island right now, we're the only ones that are on this network, and we're on an island, we can't talk to anybody.
Is there, I mean, with our old equipment, what happens with it? I mean, does it go up for sale or what?
Surplus it.
How close do you think our equipment would come to paying for what we're?
none.
I mean.
It's old and it's,
It'd be a $900,000 update if we purchased it on our own, we're blessed that Oklahoma City gave them the option to donate it.
How much did we spend on the equipment when we upgraded this last go around?
30,000?
less than 40,
Yeah,
but it's been,
it's been 6 years.
and unfortunately, this stuff, I'm learning more about it. It's kinda like a thing computer, after you get home, it's used, it'll make sense. And our problem is, the same as his, you go on a call, you can't talk to the truck, when you go to help El Reno over there, to come and help us, or Mustang, or whoever the case may be. And that's very dangerous, it's really more dangerous for them, well, I shouldn't say
So
more.
they're like channels or frequencies or?
So the way that Oklahoma City's set up is, they set up in talk groups. So we would have a talk group that would be just our county. So if the fire department's going to run a call with Yukon, they can switch to the Yukon channel and be able to talk to them. If El Reno's coming down to back us on a pursuit, they can switch to our channel and we can talk to them. We can't do that now.
Okay.
I'm talking to my dispatcher's on the phone with their dispatcher's relaying, and it becomes a cluster.
A, it
Like that
takes a long time, and B,
that
it just changes.
computer abandoned here a while back.
Yeah,
Your school guy could only talk to you guys,
and
and
it
he
was
seen them
relaying
headed
down.
north through the field, he couldn't call
What happened?
El Reno and say, hey,
There's a
he's headed north.
scare, it wasn't anything. A guy jumped out of a car and his daughter said, oh, he's crazy and he might have a gun. But school locked down and everything was good.
Was our officer on site at that time?
But it could be real somewhere.
It can be, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the tough
So,
part about
can
location.
them old radios be put in like a tractor or anything, and be like two-way radios?
So like, the ones, the mobile units that we have in the cars now, we probably leave for toss around and as a backup, because electronics fail, so we already have a system and a repeater that we can use, that's why we have to use for page outs anyway. But,
And, sirens.
But if the Chinese hack us, would you still have a way to talk?
CV.
Okay.
absolutely, no signal.
Yeah.
But all of the handhelds, if we go out to 152 and radio, our handheld's not gonna work anyway.
Yeah.
All right, do I have a motion on 9A?
That's what you want, Adam? Okay, make a motion to approve 9A.
I'll second it.
Motion and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion approved.
Does any changes have to be made to the budget or anything for this?
No, we have enough in our line items to cover the rest of this year's budget for the remainder of next year.
I budgeted way more, thinking we was gonna have to do that other, so I'm way ahead.
Hey, you're rich compared to the rest of us, okay? So.
All right, speaking of rich, Department of Union City Fire.
Rich kid in the room.
All right,
Played by one truck.
but yeah, most of that six will leave, everything's going well, we're, training, had a few crazy calls lately, but, just this week, but, anyway, everything's going fine.
All right, 10A, ratification of fire chief, consideration of possible approval, denial, amendment, revision, or acceptance of the ratification of Adam Taylor?
Absolutely not.
No. Fire chief David Jones.
This is something we gotta do every year, remember, after we hold our elections?
And everybody voted for you,
All but one.
all but one.
Ooh.
I didn't vote.
I can feel the political pressure on that person.
I didn't vote.
Oh, did you?
Did you vote for that, did you vote for Adam?
I think I voted for Casper or somebody, I don't know what I voted.
All right, do I have a motion?
I make a motion, we keep Mr. Jones.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion approved, you're still chief.
That's why Nico didn't do that, they got ready, now they don't have a chief, and they got a total mess of one, so. Yeah. Anyway.
Mayor wants to step in and take it away.
Well, none of us want your job, so continue.
Every time I go to training, they tell me everything's so bad, I come back and don't want it.
Number 11, Department of Union City Emergency Management.
We do, on Saturday's test, 2 sirens didn't work, but since one has been fixed, the other's waiting on parts. Other than that, everything's going good.
Are these old sirens that aren't?
Yes, sir. The one up here at the four-way was given to us from Yukon, and they bought them in the 70s. But so far, it ain't taking much to keep them going, but if it ever takes a lot, I'll tell them, we don't wanna, that's what I told them. You know, we don't put any money into it much, you know, so, but it's $25,000 to replace it.
What budget's that coming out of every time we do this?
Fire.
It does come out of fire for that? Okay.
Emergency management's under fire, technically comes out of emergency management, but it's under fire. Yeah, that makes
Okay.
sense.
All right, number 12, Department of Union City Water and Sewer.
So, on the water side, you got a letter or something you gotta call, you know what I'm talking about?
Larry talked to Ginger,
Yeah, well, we're getting fined $500.
$500.
Is that what you said?
That's what you told me.
Yeah, it's what,
For what now?
well, so you know these numbers we've been talking about every time?
Yeah.
So, since they've been up for 4 quarters, we've been uncompliant.
I thought the last one was.
Well, this is, that was a non-compliant
Oh,
test.
non-compliant.
But, so 4 in a row were above the normals, so we get the minimum, so. They will tell, what's frustrating, Tom, they will tell you, there's so many towns that this happens to, and blah, 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 and it's not really nothing you can do, but yet, arguing with DQ is like arguing with a post, you're not gonna,
but these water samples have to be taken out of faucets in town, or how are they?
No, I gotta take them to certain places, these are every quarter.
And they specify where they're taken from?
Oh, yeah.
But are any of them from where the water's coming into us?
They added a spot now to where that can be done. That's, El Reno has their own, we have our own, they tell us where we can take those, we can take our other samples, the non-compliant anywhere I want, but.
So, can we request our samples be dated and time and all that?
Well, I just got
Show-
January's results today. Today, it's so funny, Chris called me and was talking about it, in my email was clean, and it popped up, and I was like, so we had to be under 80. October's test, we were like 111 and 128 or so, I don't remember exactly, but it way high. Today's results were 65 and 57. And what's happened is, and there's no way to prove this, but DEQ admitted that they're short-handed, and it was taking a very long time, sometimes 8, 10, 12 weeks to get them tests done. The last two that I've done, and the last one that Houston done, one of them being my non-compliant one, we're getting them back to 2.5 weeks, because they've hired a whole bunch of staff. And the whole thing about those numbers is, my understanding is, how long the water sits in the pipe. Today I figured it up, and we used 25 million, of course, nothing like y'all using true, but 25 million gallons of water last year. That 8-inch pipe running here to Mustang, El Reno, don't never stop running. I mean, you can't.
Yeah, our water tower, when we were in that ice storm, went empty in, what, a day and a half?
Yeah, so, we did do a little flushing, but nothing like he said we had to do, and we're way under. So, how it works now is you gotta be under it before,
And to catch up,
Then they divide.
briefly on a previous conversation we've had, we're contracted for, El Reno can provide us up to 7 million gallons per month. And
I think
based off,
7.5 million.
huh?
7.5
million. The math he just threw at us, roughly we're at like 2.1 million gallons a month is what we're currently utilizing.
Right.
On that. However, like we just discussed, we only have a day and a half worth of.
100,000 gallons.
Yeah, worth of reserves for our whole community, so.
Which is part of our big plan to eventually.
Yeah, we would love to, and the engineers kind of, the idea would be the town kind of runs uphill that way for city limits, and for the metro area, is putting another water tower up there to allow us to, have 2 water towers.
Okay.
But,
So, whenever I call Miss Ginger tomorrow.
Yeah, I was gonna give you this paper this morning, so you could.
Yeah, I'd like to have a copy of it.
Tell her what the new test was. We're not anything different, we don't even treat, or as you guys know, we don't treat the water. We buy it from El Reno, it runs through a water meter just like it does at your house. Same thing, it runs through a water meter, we pay that much, then we sell it. So
we're at the mercy of El Reno, like, it's
Yeah.
kind of tough.
So, as far as treating, we do no treating at all, so we don't have a way to,
And
up to chlorine or whatever the case may be.
I forgot, so I know Del Reno gets half their water from Oklahoma City, but is any of the water that we receive from the Oklahoma City
Yeah, I
side?
don't have a clue on that, I
You
don't know
don't
what
know?
mixes or, which I don't understand how it can mix, because when I talked to them,
So we get the water that El Reno
It's
makes.
against the law to mix, right?
That's what
that's
I
my
thought.
understanding, so that's why he told me I couldn't time with them in them without a water gap, which means you gotta have a piece of pipe not in there, not just a valve to turn on.
Every time
We
El
actually
Reno
turn
wants-
both valves on.
Every time El Reno wants to go up on the price, then, we're at that
We're at their
mercy.
mercy.
Yeah.
Have y'all had any problems with yours?
No.
So,
Well, what are the types of places where, how do you draw that from?
one is, the fire station, one is the, shop.
Okay.
Basically,
But that one's not, but is this one down here at the end of the line?
pretty close.
And are you, I know you have a flushing routine where you're flushing everything.
Yeah, I've got it where we flush, but I got the engineer drawing us up a professional, so to speak, flushing plans.
Okay.
That way, we would submit this to them and say, this is exactly what we're doing, instead of, because I go dead, we really don't have, we have a few dead ends, but mostly everything's loose, so, and then technically, that's not a dead end, because the water will sit there, we still use it, what we use, but the dead ends where the water, don't move. So, we actually have to know where that happens. But, well, that's not true, we do it out here on 152 now, because we have to plug it, but, anyway, I'll have a engineered Yeah, you know,
pay the
but as
fire
far as
hydrant
where
here.
we test, that's a DEQ thing.
And fire hydrant location, how was that previously engineered, like, as to where you, is that based off, like, you want a fire hydrant here, so you get one here, or is it, was that actually engineered as well?
I'm assuming when they put the water in, they engineered it, I've not never had to,
In the ordinance, it's every 500
Yeah.
feet.
and that's also a
In
DEQ thing.
residential areas.
But,
Oh, that's what our ordinances require?
well,
Yeah,
it's a state thing and DEQ
Oh,
thing,
okay.
yeah.
Has that been addressed recently with the added houses on Maple or anything like that?
They're already there.
They're all there, okay, they're all.
When they put the water and sewer in for those, they put them in then.
They put them in when they ran the line of the gym, I think.
No, they were right there, even before that. Yep.
All right, number 13, Department of Union City Animal Control.
Busy. But,
Christmas puppies are getting old.
yeah, we'll be long. Anyway, but going well right now, I think we got three. Down from 14 and whatever. And I think I got a home for all three of them, so.
Knock on wood. Since that one house was swapped owners, I ain't had a problem in almost a year now.
Number 14, Department of Union City Streets and Alleys.
Hopefully we're getting closer on the highway, but, we're not there yet.
When will we start, I think this might have been the last one, when will we start construction on the lagoon repair?
Oh, it's, waiting on the DEQ's
Still?
approval, yeah, that's my point.
Well, when
They're only
DEQ gets onto us, remind them of that.
I do.
Say, we're trying to make upgrades to our stuff, and you guys
Yeah.
can't even get it approved.
You know, the water samples, when they moved those, Stan the man from that first office, he don't work in there anymore.
Who don't stand on?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right, yeah,
He's back in charge, and
Yeah.
there's different kids in there now.
yeah.
3 months waiting on them to approve that now.
All right,
Maybe
At least
3
three or
months.
four, isn't it?
Maybe.
so back to streets now, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine, yeah, but, you know, we actually have the grant for that and everything, but as soon as they
Yeah.
say go.
It starts pouring out the other end.
Yeah, and here's what's the bad thing, we can only discharge until the end of April. We have to discharge that thing way down so they can work on it. So, I don't know, if they don't do it before April,
Are they the ones that allow you to do that? Then they'll have to extend it due to their.
yeah, well, they'll extend it, then they'll probably give us a freaking, what do you call that, when you do something, it's what the word they use, non-compliant thing.
Yeah, 'cause we did that once before.
Yeah, they told me to do it, and then,
Tell them to do it, and we had
yeah.
good court over it.
I forgot to ask you under the fire chief or the city management thing, about the ambulance services. Are the calls still been slow or less than?
ours,
Yeah. Are we still having issues there at all? Cause I'm still pissed off about it, one,
yeah,
actually.
yeah.
About that whole thing was handled.
The whole county's pissed off about it, actually, because it's really through the county into spin, because now Mustang has to go do discharge, that means Utah's gotta run down, cover them, which means El Reno's gotta run over and cover them, which means Bethany's gotta, it's a mess. Stafford's a mess right now, they're changing some leadership, we're gonna see if it happens, we had a head-on the other day, that turned into quite a fiasco, so,
That was the one down here.
yeah,
I drove past
between
it.
Banner and Gregory,
Yeah, I drove past
We actually, luckily, me and Scotty were standing in the fire department, because I had my IT person, Crystal, working on my computer, or she puts all my formulas and stuff in. Anyway, so, I heard the person on the phone say, head on, and I was gone, you know, anyway, long story short, Pappers decided Mustang's truck's gonna cover some of that area, without telling Mustang, or us, so, now Mustang says it ain't happening. But, so they got dispatched, our dispatcher calls, asked for an ambulance, said, oh, that's not our area. And this is like, what the crap, what do you mean? So, people ended up getting fired, it turned into a big old mess, not our side, their side.
At Packard, people got fired?
Dispatcher, well, I guess it'd actually be El Reno PD on dispatching, which is far Packard, anyway, it's been quite a tour.
It's been a mess.
Yeah, but it's, we're working on it, so I'm gonna do, so.
When you say you're working on it, like what?
Well, the uppers, no, we had a meeting.
With Packard?
Well, with, El Reno dispatcher boss, Packard's people,
You as in you two?
he had to go out of town,
Okay.
but anyway, so let me really say, people, it's not delaying our responses here in town, nothing like that.
Not what?
It's not delaying any responses here, nothing like that, we've not been like too bad. We've had some paramedics roof majorly, but that's on their side. Overall, as far as care, it's been fine, it's just some dispatching things and the way they're running their ambulances as far as where it's coming from and things.
Their response time is 10 minutes, are they still getting
Supposed
fast?
to be, that's right at it, I mean, it just depends, I mean, they had 11-minute delay on that call because of, that was part
An
of it.
11-minute delay?
On the second one, yeah, so.
11-minute delay, or 11 minutes, that's how long?
No,
it gets
11-minute delay before it started, so it's
Plus
only
that.
2-minute delay, response, but,
They survive?
that person did, yeah. The other ambulance was there in time from Mustang, which, let me clear this up, so Mustang will come anytime you call. The ambulance or the fire, obviously, I call it fire myself, but ambulance will come as a mutual aid. They can't be contractually, the way Thacker drew it up, made it their area, and they can't do that, cause they pay over $500,000 a year for that ambulance, it's dedicated. If that makes sense. Point is, it was there quick. So the patient that actually died was in that ambulance that went first, so, so that part didn't matter, so the rest of them did survive. But it could have been, that's what we had this meeting, it could have been bad, so.
It was a mess up on the dispatcher side originally.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying about.
He only sent one ambulance and no one had to head on, there's gonna be 2 patients
And that was our meeting, is
At minimum.
with, exactly, that's what he talked to the dispatchers, Paul Ratcliffe was like, so what kind of call was it, head on? You started one ambulance, yes. So my thinking is, you know for sure there's at least 2 people minimum, give us a head on, unless that car's going down the road by itself.
Which brings back the question of like, cause my original, and call it naive, was when, with us hiring dispatchers here, when we call 911, that it would go to our dispatcher.
No, that's not true.
No, well, obviously, I've learned that, but I'm saying, is there ever gonna be a point to where you can rely on your own dispatchers?
for 911.
Yeah.
I doubt it, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's a process. I don't wanna do it because there's works on the state to consolidate the PSAPs, so PSAP's what takes the 911 calls, and in our county, Mustang, Yukon, and El Reno are all PSAPs. So,
Is that an abbreviation stand for something?
it's public safety something.
Okay.
So, what they're working on doing is consolidating where all 911, and I don't know if this will ever happen anytime soon, but it's in the works, where all 911 calls in this county will go to El Reno, because that's who dispatches the ambulance anyway. So, the general plan is, like Oklahoma City, they'll be their own, but every county will have a centralized PSAP for when you call 911, so there's not so many call transfers going on.
So an
Because
original.
right now, if you call 911, you might get Mustang, you might get El Reno, hell, you might get Grady County.
I'm gonna say a lot of times it's chicken shake.
But,
Cause originally, we were paying Canadian County for dispatch, so if we back up to that time, 911 call goes in, it goes to where it goes.
Yeah,
El Reno or Mustang.
Okay, and then it would get transferred to Canadian County, and then Canadian County would dispatch you guys.
Right.
So all we did was replace that step with our own people, is that
Right.
correct?
That's-
Okay,
Which actually made that part quicker,
yeah.
cause they do nothing but us, we're county,
Right.
being on 2
Yeah,
other lines.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but, and that was where my naiveness came from, cause back then I thought, like, by us, once we got to a certain point training wise, that any local 911 calls in our city limits go straight to our dispatch, straight to you guys, but.
But that's hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment too, that is able to ping your phone and just do 1,000 things that.
And there's always devil in the details, I'm sure.
And I know people not grapple with us, it's not true, they tell us how frustrating it is sometimes when they call 911, cause it may go chicken shake. Chicken shake, turn around, still Mustang still on the desk, so,
Yeah.
time to get to us.
Well, to make it still better, due to our homeless population, I have to call 911 about 5 or 6 times a month, because they're smoking next to my bulk tanks full of oxygen and selling propylene stuff, or burning campfires, or whatever they're doing, and when I call, like, there's half the time I'm on hold for 5 to 8 minutes, and I'm getting, they do the Spanish version, and and all that, and by the time you get through, it's like, yeah, can you send someone?
Let's move on. Number 15, Department of Union City Town Clerk Treasurer.
I have a report, if you have questions, I'm happy to answer. The biggest and most important thing on there is that, Board of Trustee member Chad Fisher completed his NOI class and turned in his certification. So he is
There you go.
legit.
Well done, sir.
18. And ain't got a nameplate.
You can't get a nameplate. Spelled
Spell it
correctly.
I'm checking his name spelling against the agenda.
Don't do it.
She treated him way better than she did you, Bob.
No, kidding. And that's way harder to spell.
Well, we had a couple talks.
He towered over me in my office and said, this is how it's done.
Maybe that.
I have a picture of that, but okay.
Yeah, I just looked at it, I wouldn't know I got it right.
Yeah.
Alright, number 16, Department of Human Resources.
No action, nothing to report,
Number 17, Department of City Payroll.
nothing to report.
Number 18,
No,
Department of Union City Office Manager.
did my report.
Just fine, just have it. Adam, how long will it take to get them ratios now that that's done? Take a little bit?
So it's gotta go to Oklahoma City Council on the 23rd, I think. And then, after that.
Does big cities like that have multiple council meetings a
Yeah,
month?
they do one every other week.
Yeah, because they're paid, you know.
2 a month.
If you get good enough at this, Bob, you can go move and get you a job.
Yeah. That's the thing you couldn't do,
No way.
Alright, Gina, on your deal, we had the online look at the software. Can you kinda give us the rundown on that?
I gave you the information on the Texas one, and it was really expensive. I talked to the people we bought our meters from, and said, who would you recommend, trying to find somebody else and compare the price, because I thought that was expensive. And he said Sequoia. Well, I talked to Canadian County Water Authority, and that's who they use. So I actually went there at 3:30 today, and looked at the software, talked to them. I had the cost of that in there too. It's half the price of the Texas one, and they actually do basically the same thing. You can go online, you can see your bill, you can set up an automatic payment, you can pay, and actually, whenever they pay it like that online, it'll post right to their account, like, we would only have to post one that come in the mail or people walk in and pay. And right now, even though they pay them online, have that ability, or a credit card, we still have to go in there and post it to their account.
And
that's three verticals.
That's 18E, actually.
Yeah. I do read my,
Yeah, that's fine.
we need to vote on, we need to go to 18A and vote on that one. Because it was on there last month, and somehow, y'all just went on by, and I didn't notice, nobody noticed.
18A, REAP grant, 2023.
He did it again.
Consideration of, huh?
That's what it is.
I was like, this is A. Consideration possible denial, amendment, revision, acceptance of REAP grant, and send a payment request in the amount of $20,260 to ACOG for payments to Trinity Circuits. Do I have a motion? I'll make a motion. Do I have a second?
What motion did you make?
Go Ryan.
Did you make a motion?
That we pay it.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved.
We pay ACOG.
We pay ACOG. 18B, closeout documents, consideration possible approval, denial, amendment, revision, or acceptance of approving of a generator is installed, working, and submitting closeout document of REAP grant 2023, E5 and 23, 15 to ACOG. I make a motion that we submit the closeout document.
I'll second it.
Motion and second, all those in favor? Aye. Motion
Aye.
approved.
Okay, now 18D.
18B.
That's different.
Union City Park Board, seat one, consideration and possible approval, denial, amendment, revision, acceptance of Board of Trustee member filling seat one on the Union City Park Board.
Hillary was on there before, on the park board, now that she's not a board member, we need something, Bob's on there now, we need a person to be on there.
What's the park board?
Yeah, what's that consist of?
Filling Easter eggs.
That's what it consists of.
Tom, you're up.
The rules are, because
review it before we
the people that donated the park, wanted us to have a park board that was separate from, and you know, the park board might be able to work with you guys on what you said earlier, now that is that.
Yeah, be a really good time to get on the park board, just saying.
Got a lot of hats.
We're not gonna make you do a lot, we have a lot of people on the park that help, that they're not members,
We
they
have
volunteer, so we have
We
a lot
have
of
a large
people.
number of volunteers.
And we have a lot of people that have the fire, the police.
We had 3.
At
But,
the-
but one of them has to be from the board?
We have to have
Two.
two.
The way it's written,
Bob,
I'm
there
already
has
on
to
it.
be, we have to have 2. They didn't want the board to control the park board, but they wanted them to be a part,
How often do they meet?
not very often.
Once, twice a year.
Thursday,
I think it's,
Thursday.
second Thursday of each week.
Oh.
we're gonna be third, we usually about one.
You get that.
The second Thursday of each
Most of
week.
them are just texting or emailing back and forth, we were gonna meet on the Thursday.
Keith missed that, I think.
I'm just trying to like.
About one.
You wanna be on the park board?
A year?
Yeah, but you.
Yeah, I'm
you
over
need to
there.
set that.
If you want to, I
I'm on play.
But you gotta hire 3,000.
Alright, we got one. Chad Fisher's on the park board.
We gotta make a motion.
It's a motion, Ian.
I make a motion that we appoint Chad Fisher to board trustee member filling seat 1 to Union City Park Board.
I'll second it.
Motion is second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm already on the OEM. Hey,
There you go.
park board.
Yes.
I have a volunteer parent, that's asking if they can pressure wash all the playground equipment and everything along with the bleachers and stuff up there. I don't know if that's something that,
Shouldn't split, no, they can do it, they won't do it.
yeah. Okay, good. I'll let them know.
Okay, son, on park, let me bring it, I'll never know where to bring it, it's probably street and alley. I've been looking.
Way back there.
I know, but, and if you ain't gotta make no decision, just tell me what you think. Been looking at some playground equipment in the book, trying to figure, upgrade Keeler's a little bit, is that something we're even interested in? If I get some.
I'll tell you something that I've had a handful of people come to me about is replacing those basketball goals. But,
That's something we just do, you're talking people.
Yeah, I think that,
I'm talking about.
they're talking to
teeter-totter or something, they ain't swing sets over there, nothing like that, you know, do we wanna even consider unofficially, if you tell me I can start getting prices, but I don't wanna work on it, you know.
I'm still unofficially waiting on a proposal for something else, but
what's that?
from the Methodist Church.
Oh.
No, that's a hard no, I know what it is.
I'm a hard yes.
And I need y'all to hurry up and prove that location over there where you want it, cause I'm gonna fight Bob on where it needs to be located for parking reasons.
All I ask you is call a bunch of towns and put them in and ask about them.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money for something you use 3 months a year, 4 months a year.
It's a huge hit with the wives and kids.
Yeah, I just worry about the maintenance.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, I talked to Binger about that, and it's not what you think. So they go out and whenever, they said there's very, very little maintenance, and then for the cleanup and all that, they said if it starts to get trashed out or whatever, they put a message out on Facebook, says we're shutting it out on this date, if it's not cleaned up by then.
Here you go, huh?
And it's clean every time. Alright,
Put on the next.
18E, utility billing software.
Yeah, I would like to be told I can move forward and just check it and bring it back to you. to look at.
Yes, please
I'm not
do.
really thinking of the Sequoia, I know Brian might have some input, I don't know.
No,
You don't have any input?
I mean, I don't deal anything with it.
I think long-term, you know, as we're moving forward, we gotta continue to progress forward.
Anything that's faster, leaner.
Well, it'd be awesome for a person to do a
Well,
lot
it's
on
something
field.
I found out today, that we were like light years behind. You know, we've been dealing with all the EIT and COPS and all this other. Do you know that El Reno's putting in their own
Yeah, they sure are.
They're on what?
internet?
Oh, really?
The city of El Reno's doing it?
City of El Reno was doing it, and
That's
they
awesome.
own it. I don't know. I'm assuming it's a grant.
City of Edmond has an internet service.
So,
Yeah, and it has everything,
Yeah.
trash service.
Don't tell them.
Did you know that?
just saying, you know, boy, did we mess up. We could've been making money on this deal. Alright,
Okay, so I just put something on there.
Yes, go ahead, check into those. Number 19, Department of Union City Court Clerk.
We're staying really busy until when, DHS sends out their letters of collections on warrants, because we did, what, 3 today, 3 pays today, and we have several
Get
pays
phone calls,
Friday,
non-stop about it.
So they're doing their job.
I seen that thing, you were talking about people that are behind on their bills, how is that, I mean, we have a lot of people that are behind right now, or is it pretty standard quo? or-
Not normal, but Bob had come in one day and asked, he would like for me to have something to give people to show them different options with their water bill when they're struggling. So I made up a little flyer that I showed him, asked him what he thought. We actually have some people in town who had a bad leak, they don't have water now. I mean, they didn't pay the bill, but they'd already shut it off themselves anyway because of this leak. And so I asked Dave the other day to take that to their door, but I still haven't heard from him because it's enormous.
So,
Oh, by the way, I need to clear up something real quick. Some woman come in and said that she had a leak, and she thought we were just, take that part off, which we can't, we buy it. What we will do is let them say they had a $200 extra in them. They pay the regular bill, and then they pay $25 or whatever they want, catch it back up. We don't expect them to pay $400 ones that they can't.
Like that for people and that we're
Yeah,
offered
so,
that.
back to, she come in mad in the morning, because she just found out that David Jones, none of the firemen, or the people working this office, or you, pay your water bill.
We don't pay our water bill.
Actually, nobody in this room.
Yeah, so, because, we are crooked and we work for them, then doggone if somebody don't go to Love's, and she done spread it up there, and them people take it. So, I'm just saying, I can show you, just like you, I have a water
you can
bill.
post my
Technically,
bill
she's
on
right,
social
it's like
media
a
along
Christmas
with-
thing,
Yes,
but,
absolutely, post my bill.
Post
take
my bill on
information.
the blanked out check, showing.
I'm just saying, it probably, if you hear something, that'd be, I know
That's one thing
it's, 3 people already
I
said
was
it, so.
gonna say, when I was to Love's, that's when I was told again, after it was already told to me by the lady that came in.
2 different people.
But I said, what, and sorry, Bob, but I said, I can promise you that Bob McGregor would probably pay more on his water bill equipment than everybody pays there, so I don't think you gotta worry about that.
Anyway, people are.
He calls me sometimes thinking I had a leak, I said, no, it's just my kids taking their 45-minute shower.
I have no idea why my water bill's so high.
I could swap my 3 kids for 10 cattle and it'd probably be less.
I can turn off my water and my meter doesn't move. And it's still crazy high. I've been putting bricks in bathtubs, camera can put some water in there.
That's what that was about, just to give people, and to show them how our payment agreement works.
Yeah.
Should there be a limit on that?
I'm sorry?
Should there be a limit on that? How many times you can take advantage of that?
It was a leak.
No,
but
like,
talking
a payment arrangement.
Oh, I understand that, but I thought.
Because there are people out there that know the exact day that you're gonna cut them
I'm
off.
sure they do.
And how many times can they do that?
That's all I'm asking, is if there's a limit on that.
Cause I would like to see like a 3-time limit.
Well, the thing is, people do it, it actually makes us money because they get the 10% late fee, so they're paying us more money, they wind up paying their bills, so
Hey,
we're not really.
they cut mine off one time. My mom was hospitalized for 7 months and my wife was hospitalized for almost a month, and I don't pay bills. And apparently it was due when my wife went in.
But the new homeowner or new person of the house have to pay that before it's turned back on, right?
If we turn it off, they gotta pay the whole thing plus the reconnect fee.
Well, I'm just saying if I, like, they sell the house and it's got a $600 bill.
They don't have to.
The new person, though, like that person can never have water again in Union City until that's paid.
So, how it is, you get your bill now, you just moved in, you get a bill, right? Next month, you get that, you get your bill, and it has this month plus last month that says, like 10 days worth. And then we put a thing on the door 24 hours, say, tomorrow at 10 AM, we're gonna cut it off. And then we go bang on the door again, but I turned off 3 today.
You put that on the door and they come down here and say, here, I wanna put $100 in the water bill. Yeah. Do you leave their water on or you turn it off?
Yeah, as long as they can either write an agreement and say, today's well, we always do it around the 10th, depending on when it falls. So we won't turn the water off on Friday, That way when they get home, they don't have to go all weekend without it, so we'll, you know, does that make sense? So we don't do a cutoff day on Fridays.
Boy,
But-
we did it on Friday, and they went 3 days.
Oh, we
without
did.
it.
They just turned-
That'd be a little more on the spot to turn the water on.
But anyway,
That is right.
point is,
How much do you charge to turn it back on?
50.
So if I charge $100 for Saturday, Sunday services, I
There you go,
can
yeah.
and lock it off and make it $100.
Side job. But, anyway, that's how it does, and it clearly says, so if you can't pay it today, you come in or call and make your agreement, say they don't get paid till the 15th or whatever that day is. And there's only so far out they can go. And if they don't pay it by then we do go turn it off.
So, back to what Ron was saying though, how many times can they do that?
Well, some of them must have been doing it for 13 years.
And we haven't put a stop
Down
on
there.
it. I mean, can we?
I can almost put them lists
Can
out.
we
when I
put
look at it.
3 times, 4 times, whatever?
Like I say, we're just making money on them, because they're paying extra money every month. And when I say they're not, it's not, they're paying their bills on it.
Yeah, they're never behind it. I mean,
They're actually paying
Yeah.
more to get the extra.
usually about 15,
They're still paying the
12,
bill.
15 bucks
They're just
more.
running, basically, they're running a month behind, is what it is.
We loan money, basically, we're like loan sharks for water.
They don't get too behind, because they would hit that other cutoff and turn it off, does that make sense? So they're only one behind always, for whatever reason.
Also, my personal business out there is good, that I have an agreement almost every month because of how our paydays fall. I don't make enough money here to pay my water bill on time every time, so y'all can say what you want, but sometimes we just don't have the money to pay it. It's either that or I just have groceries for the week, and that's just what we have to do, so.
I don't, you know, it doesn't, the big deal on how many, as long as it's not 2 in a row, if you make, you know. It's never 2. If they can't get it done by, they say they're gonna pay it by the 20th time we send them, and they don't, then we will turn it off. And they gotta pay the whole thing before we turn it back on,
Yeah.
so.
Fair enough. All right, number 20, mayor and trustee reports. I don't have anything but hate this against spread. Anybody else? I expect not to have a water bill in there, by the way. Since you're not paying one.
We'll pay it anyway.
Just on safety bill. Safe as sin. 21, no action. 22, no action. 23, new business. Any new business?
Again, I'm just reiterating, so it's okay if I go out to get quotes from this company to see what that would even cost, what we're looking at, and then we'll put it on the agenda to
Yes.
see if anybody wants to approve it or not. Okay.
Does the city own that sign?
I assume so, I don't know, 'cause that's what, one of the parents asked, because there was multiple people in the,
I don't think so.
So I'm just asking.
Yeah.
It's got the bank's name on the back.
If the city don't own it,
yeah.
is it right for us to put money into it?
I don't know.
No different than basketball sign.
But the city paid for it to have it moved, that's,
I'm
that's,
saying, I mean, they
that
got it,
question
you know.
came up, because there were people, most of the
Yeah.
parents in there didn't realize that the town owned the ballpark, and they were like, why does the town own the ballpark?
I personally didn't think that was right. Straight
Yeah.
up. Not really.
But I'm sure it was-
Obviously, you know how I feel about school.
But then somebody mentioned that has lived here a long time, that back during the tornado in the 70s, that they dug a huge pit there, and they
Yeah.
bulldozed a bunch of stuff into that area.
I was told that too.
And filled it up, and then Griggs reiterated that's correct, because if we get enough water, he gets rust seepage up out of the ground there in the outfield.
Okay.
So I was like,
We have.
maybe that's why they built the
Park.
ballpark there, I don't know, like, did they build the ballpark there because they, like, we don't wanna put anything else here, but it can make a nice
Home plate
outfield?
used to be in center field.
What was it?
Home plate used to be in center field.
Oh, well, they said first base.
Well, and I don't know how much truth there is
I
to
don't know,
it.
I wasn't here,
Cause,
I
I
wasn't
got
born.
on the little field,
Yeah.
take them out.
Back when
Huh.
Patterson was alive and he was living out there, he said, he told me that one of the reasons he had his horses on that property was because he couldn't run a disc through it.
Yeah. Well, so my kid got into metal detecting thanks to my neighbor last year, and they have dug 3 5-gallon buckets of metal out of my yard. And they're on bucket number 3 or 4 out of the park, Keely Park, from all the agricultural
Any
metal.
money, I
stuff.
lost it.
Huh?
Anything worth anything, I lost it.
No, they did find a bunch of, I don't know if they were bearings, or if they were, because they're so rusted, you can't tell that, or they were musket balls, I don't know.
Wow.
But we were guessing more likely to be bearings out of something, but they were large bearings.
Interesting.
Ryan.
Sure deal, Ryan. Make a motion to, blow this popsicle stand.
At 8:29.
Did all the ARs get